Oh, Justin, first one, brother. What's up? Hello, hello. I'm here. Let's rock and roll. Who have eaten a Doritos? You better not be eating Doritos, Justin. We need you in tip-top shape for the catwalk tomorrow. I made flantas. I'm about to make birra tacos for lunch tomorrow. That's what I like to hear. I like you guys are using up all the food before our big shortage. No, I'm just kidding. I like to say scary stuff and then everyone gets scared. Makes me feel powerful. Just kidding. Dude, that's actually hilarious. Kalina, you're... For some reason, like, YouTube, like, translates random stuff. So, like, you say, hiya, Joel. Hiya. But then it translates to, shame on you, Joel. I don't know why. That's just funny as fuck. Hiya. Shame on you. Never Caught Alive. Welcome, guys. Yeah, tonight we're reading some search and rescue stories. Spooky as heck ones. Any wildfires in my neck of the woods? Thank God not. No. Are they getting bad again, or what's the deal? Are they deploying the directed energy weapons right at my house? What's going on? But yeah. Doing good, thankfully. Smash that like button. We're reading search and rescue stories tonight. We got 4 of those. Should be quite interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed after, like, last video, it was edited in a way that was more professional, if anybody picked up on that, as I have now employed the usage of an editor where right after the streams I can send that over. So let me know how it sounds and if it's sounding better. But welcome, thanks for being here. Scary Russia, China, and India stories. I don't think anything scary has ever happened in Russia, China, or India. Those are some of the safest, most civilized places in the world. Except for the getting hit by trains and all that kind of stuff. Why do they get hit by trains? Anybody know what the deal with that is? Because I feel like Instagram, it's like you're about to get off and then it's like, would you like to see a small Indian man get exploded? Would you like to see someone from southern India get ripped in twain by a moving vehicle? Or dude, some of the most insane shit, like earlier, like it was literally India and it was just a giant raging fucking elephant. And then the elephant just is just running at all of them like fucking full tilt. I swear to God, like there's never, like all the elephants in the world are like seemingly just like happy-go-lucky Dumbo types who flap their ears and give you a kiss, and like it's like the only animal that can giggle is an elephant. And then for some reason in India they're just like, fuck you, fuck all of you with your poop. And then they just, anyways, the video is like all of these Indian people with like long sticks. And the long sticks for some reason were just on fire. Like they were trying to scare, like this was their tactic to scare the giant fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex creature. And instead it just like ran right at them and then absolutely pummeled this dude into a big pile of like water and mud. And I'm just like, in what scenario? Maybe they were farming, maybe they're doing it like rice farming, and that's why the whole most of the field was just covered in like water and mud. But it just seems like they like go out of their way where they're like, it's like the running of the bulls, but they just put themselves in the face of a giant fucking bull elephant. Anyways, long story short, I've become very desensitized to death, and not by my own choice. Joel, did you hear about the AI YouTube bot is now targeting ASMR channels? So wait, they went for like the scary ones and now they're going for ASMR? I guess that makes sense some ways. My algorithm is fascinating. Dude, it's like the weirdest mix. It's just like highly offensive joke, puppy video, the cutest puppy video you've ever seen in your life, and then just like someone getting ripped into like a lathe. And it's like you don't even want to see like the really dastardly terrifying ones like that, but as soon as it pops up, it's like, want to see something crazy? It's like that kid walking up to you on the playground whenever you're in like 5th grade, and they're the first person to like get a phone in your grade, and they're like, look what I found on the internet. It's fucking nuts. And then it just like, for some reason at that point, it's just like your brain just has like a lesion right in that like sector of memory forever on. And now every time you like see somebody with a bag over their head, you have a seizure. I'm gonna be in the background while you cook. Let him cook. We're all gonna die from diarrhea lettuce. Speaking of which, one of my good friends was tested positive for like some crazy form of E. coli, like a really rare E. coli thing, and I don't know. He's the doctors didn't tell him to go to the fucking hospital, but he made it sound like he's on the verge of death. When I ran it through AI, they said it's not like, verge of death material, but he made it sound like he was like, you've been a good friend, man. GG's. I don't know. Maybe he just wanted attention or something like that. But I mean, I think he'll be all right. I mean, unless he's just like blasting fucking blood out of his asshole. The good old Pain Olympics. Do they still run the Pain Olympics? Is that just the normal Olympics now? My Insta algorithm depends on... yeah. Krispy Kreme. Oh, it translated it. I guess Krispy Kreme translates to Krispy Kreme. That's good. Why do you say it like that? I don't know. Some people in my life I genuinely just like... As I get older, and I grow older with other people... I feel like I stay relatively the same. I've been the same person mentally since I was like in like fucking 7th grade. Just the same level of like consciousness. Like nothing is really like varied or fluctuated. Meanwhile, I'm just like slowly watching everyone around me like be unable to cope with reality and just like slowly become fucking nutballs. And that's fine. You know what I mean? Like I get where they're coming from. But... whenever like I become the foundational rock in which people can lean on in their sort of shared existence tangentially to my own soul, I get a little nervous about that, because then I start to like think like, am I the only sentient one? Am I the main character? I don't think I am, because that's a little selfish. I think we've all been mentally 18s ever since then. Yeah, I don't even know. Saw that Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I'll tell you what. What's up, AWOL? Long time no see, how you been? Do you have a favorite country to read stories from outside the US? I mean, I guess Japan. Like every time I see the paranormal Japan ones, which I do have to hit up Jay Nightmares again to maybe translate some of those and get them back in the rotation. Do a little collaboration if he's not busy. Alright. Friends, we're going to kick this off. Thanks for being here. Let's read some search and rescue stories. I was in a Hobby Lobby yesterday and I saw a light up sign that said, let's read. I was like, Joel didn't license that. I'm going to sue them instantaneously as soon as I get out of here. Am I the NPC? Yeah, sometimes I feel like that for sure as well. Like, I really do wonder what it must feel like to be the trillionaires in this life that have, like, islands in Antarctica named after themselves. Like, what does that feel like? What does that feel like to know that all you have to do is, like, type a few things into a keyboard dashboard and all of a sudden CNN and Fox News and everything's just, like, saying exactly what you want them to say? Like, that's got to be such a good feeling to be like God level in control. He heard me on Tat's videos. Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, that's going way back. Did some stretches, fucked on my leg. Not sure if I pulled a hamstring or if it's a nerve thing. It hurts my booty cheek on to my foot. Oh, okay. Well, then that's your sciatic nerve going down. There might have been something that got pinched. You might have to go see like a myofascial release specialist or something of that nature, or strengthen your glute medius with those like abductor exercises. What's in the gutter, if you don't mind? In the gutter? Is there a gutter? Or is that the cup holder you mean on the where I'm floating? Yeah, my will to live. I feel pretty good. I feel like I can keep living. I just get worried no one else can. I hate having weak ankles. Why do I walk and a tiny rock fucks me up? I know it's no fun. What's the name of the song? Oh yeah, shit, I closed out of it. Basically just liquid drum and bass over and over again. Can't go wrong. Can you try a glute spread for us? I gotta strengthen them first, and then they can just do it on command. Alright, friends. Anyways, what's new with you guys? Anything cool? If you're happy about life, you're feeling good? My elbows have been hurting when I lift weights. You can get elbow pads, but yeah, I mean what is the let's ask. Let's get to the bottom of that. Why do people's elbows hurt while lifting? I had the entire nerve bundle of my left leg crushed by a ruptured disc and was paralyzed for 8 months. Holy shit. Sorry about that. Alright. So, the inside of the elbow, often the medial epicondylitis, golfer's elbow, commonly aggravated by gripping, curls, rows, and pull-ups. Outside of the elbow, often lateral. Tennis elbow involving wrist tendons. Back tip of elbow can involve the triceps tendon, particularly with heavy benching, dips, skull crushers, and overhead. Isn't that what you said? You were doing dips? You love when I'm reading stories? Thank you. It's so fun. I've been getting more comments of people being like, fucking read the goddamn shit. So, I don't know if we have time. Sorry. We'll figure it out, though. Let me know more specifics. Okay. Cannot drop that. That's a really important pile of liquid. If that goes in my computer, I'm fucked. I probably shouldn't put it in that position, but it is what it is. Regained my ability to walk. The nerve was stretched because it was pinned. Damn. I rave, and I also love 3D printing, so I designed and created candy beads for DJ logos and festival logos. I'm creating some designs for some random people on Reddit. It's one of my favorite hobbies. That's awesome. Monetizing the hobby is a great feeling. Okay. Let me make sure. No background noise, we're good. Sorry, I couldn't hear it for a second. Did you hang out with the neighbors' kids as a child in the alleyways? I didn't have any alleyways, but I met my best friend growing up because he literally lived really close to me, and one day I went up to this like park and he was just like fucking there. And that's, I don't know, it's just wild sometimes to think that, like literally sometimes your best friend is just like whoever's just like in proximity. And it's quite hard to make like a best friend in your older years, just because you're kind of like stuck in your ways. What's the name of this song? Oh, the background is from Inect. I used to work... No, I fucked that up right at the gate. I used to work search and rescue around the Cascades back in the 80s. And in the late summer of 87, bright and early one Tuesday morning, we got a call that ended up being one of the scariest I was ever involved in. A solo hiker had been reported missing after heading out on the trails the day before. Now, I'll just call him Robert, and it was his sister that had reported him missing, saying that he'd mentioned hitting the trails near the Black Ridge to let off some steam and make the most of the good weather. Now, she said that he knew the area well, as he'd hiked up there more times than she could remember. But then that Monday, Robert didn't come home, and so she called the cops. It looked to be a pretty standard missing hiker op. The guy was fit, healthy, and experienced, and he knew how to read a map, and he carried the actual equipment necessary with him. And we figured that we'd find him within the first 24 hours or so, most likely with some kind of injury, and we did find him all right, just not in any kind of state that we figured we would. And to this day, just thinking about it can send a shiver or two up my own spine. And by the time we launched the... Gonna have a surgery in a few days, after which to recover I'm gonna start typing a story that's... Okay, yeah, sorry about the surgery, but I hope it goes well. Proximity man or proximity chat. What's up, Rooks? What are we talking about? Okay, so it hurts more than I lay around for a while, and I try to get back up, feeling better the more I move around. Yeah, sometimes, like, with sciatica, like, walking can, like, loosen up the tension or, like, the deviation you might have with your hips or anything of that nature. Buckle up, folks. By the time we launched. Why is that word hard to say? You don't realize you're saying it wrong till you say it wrong. By the time we launched the rescue op in earnest, Robert had been missing for coming up on 72 hours. The weather had turned wet, and while the rain wasn't all that bad, the mud up near Black Ridge was ankle deep in parts, the kind that tries to pull your whole damn boots off. Now, we started at the trailhead where his truck was still parked and then fanned out as far and wide as we could to cover the most possible ground. And like I said, we were really hopeful given the circumstances, but all we found that first day were just boot prints of the same brand that Robert wore. That was obviously great news because it meant that we had a trail, right? But Jesus, what that trail led us to is something obviously I'll never forget. And the second day, we came to sections of boot prints that had been washed out by the rain, meaning accurately tracking Robert's movements was getting harder and harder. But then, one of the dog teams hit on something. About 2 miles in, we found Robert's water bottle just sitting off the side of the trail like he'd set it down and forgotten to pick it back up again. Now, there was still a little water in it too. Not a lot, but not so little a person might abandon it. And I guess that looking back on it, that's probably the point that we should have realized that things weren't as they seemed. A few miles away from the bottle, we found one of Robert's gloves, and then not far away from there, the other glove. And that's when it really hit that something was wrong and he most likely wasn't himself. But leaving things behind like that in what could have been an orderly fashion, it also suggested that he might be leading us someplace. One of our team suggested that something might have been pursuing him out of the area he knew that we might search, and so while that shedding gear behavior was definitely the first red flag that we spotted, no one automatically assumed the worst. And so we just kept on carrying, following the... Joel, do you love Akira, Gits, Ghost in the Shell, and do you also love Cyberpunk because of them? I do love Akira, I love Ghost in the Shell. I can't say that I'm just like instantaneously in love with the idea of Cyberpunk. I guess it just depends. And maybe I haven't watched enough since those to really like grasp it. But I know my friends say that like the animated show Cyberpunk itself is like absolutely goated, but I can't say that I stuck through it all. Subscribe to Saturn Nussy, yeah. Saturn Solington. Is it just me or is the guy in the pool pitching a tent? Yeah, I think he does have a boner. Robin likes to put little Easter eggs in there, usually involving erections. So we kept on following the trail of scattered gear until we came to the next thing, his pack. It had been dumped in this thicket, the contents spilled out on the ground beside it, and after fishing it out, we saw the straps had been cut. Now, why he'd do something like that was completely beyond us, and the only thing that came to mind was way too creepy to even entertain. One of the guys said it was something had... a broner. Saturn Solberg, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Alright. One of the guys said it was like something had grabbed him by the pack while he was still wearing it. If it was something big enough, like a bear or maybe even a mountain lion, I cannot read, bro. If it was something big enough, like a bear or maybe even a mountain lion, it made sense that he'd have to cut through his straps to free himself. But there was no sign of any struggle, no blood or viscera to suggest that there had been an attack. And it was while we were scratching our heads over that little mystery that someone called us over to where the bag had been found. And like I mentioned, a bunch of its contents had spilled out, apparently after being tossed into the bushes. There were food items, a notebook, and some items of clothing, but each and every one showed signs that our missing hiker was not of sound mind. Now first off, all of the food left behind had been tampered with, and by that I mean Robert appeared to have been... Dude, I've been why am I mixing words together? We went on a hike Friday and had to stop twice due to me turning red since I couldn't breathe, which never happened before. Usually I'm in one stopping so other people can take a break. Turning red, weird. I think you were having an allergic reaction to something. I'm still Ann Pitt 6 episodes into Edge Runners. It hasn't grabbed me yet. Yeah, is Edge Runners the cyberpunk one? Hey Joel, would you and your family all sleep in a single-sized bed? Justin and I are trying to figure out how all 12 of our spouses are able to do so. Help us out. Yeah, I guess if you cared about each other, you would make it work, you know? If you truly cared. First off, all of the food left behind had been tampered with, and by that I mean Robert appeared to have opened and taken a bite out of each item before abandoning it, with some items, such as these individually packaged granola bars, looking like Robert had bitten through the packaging. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Couldn't an animal have come along and bitten through the packaging as well? And while that'd be a great question, the bite pattern showed that it must have been a human. Maybe not Robert himself, but definitely a human being. And then, seeing as we were in such a remote area, the chances of it not being Robert were basically slim to none. And then, there was the matter of Robert's notebook. Based on the first half of what had been written, it was clear that Robert had been using it as some kind of trail diary. There were entries of Maple Loop and Diablo Lake, but then as we got into the section which detailed the hike Robert had disappeared on, that's where things got weird. He'd written sentences that stopped halfway through, and then he'd just move on to the next like it was Dr. Joel, why is my lower back muscles always tight on one side and it's causing that sciatic nerve thing? Well, I mean, honestly, you might have an overcompensation of particular muscles that are kind of whether it's one side or during your squat form, you're leaning to one side. I mean, it's happened to me as well. We all kind of go through it, which sucks. But one of the things that have helped me the most, besides getting regular myofascial release work, is doing activation exercises, glute activation. There's the Brigham Big 3 or whatever the heck it is, if it's called the Brigham Big 3. I think I got it completely wrong. No, wait, what's that? You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, the point is you're trying to activate and strengthen your gluteus medius, gluteus maximus by doing adductor exercises. And there's something about activating that really assists me with my pain, as well as if you have any of those glute hamstring developer type machines where it can help you lean forward, then come up and activate the posterior chain. Because sometimes the pain that you feel in and this is not medical advice or anything, but from how I've experienced going through those same sort of things while doing powerlifting, I think a lot of it comes down to overcompensation and not working those particular muscles, like the glute medius and maximus, well, maybe more of the medius, and the fact that once I did the abducting machine where you kind of press outwards, take that to failure, for 2 or 3 sets, and do that twice or 3 times a week, with like slow progression, good form, blah, blah, blah. Like I come to find that my like lower back pain has essentially like disappeared, you know? That's because our belt line is way too below our hinge point, is causing people to have back issues. You think from the belt just like sitting around in like weird spots rather than like above our belly button, the way your glutes are your stability creating muscles. Well, yeah, then maybe the glute minimus or medius or whatever it is, like, are actually the ones causing issues. But that's what's really helped me the most, is strengthening that. Is 24 unk? I think being unk is really just, it's just subjective to the viewer. It's like time, right? The passage of time is just subjective to the individual. So like if someone's like 17 and someone's 24, you're gonna be unk. But if someone's 24 and I'm fucking, 36, I'm gonna be like ultra unk to the 24-year-olds. So it's all just like falls upon the observer. Mine is 100% my hypermobility. I can easily go beyond the normal range of motion with my hips, especially on my right. Well, yeah, but you might be hypermobile, but you might not be hyperstable. You might need to strengthen those particular things. I wasn't lifting, just labor working too hard. Makes sense, gonna work on that, looking up the myofascial release thing. Yeah, that might be something you have to go to get release, which isn't always the case, but you can probably find... Let me... what are the big three, like, clam... This is something, let me find it for you real quick. That you hear in like PT. Yeah, so the big three, I forget what, anyways, it's like, let me just copy paste it into the chat. Oh, I can't even do it. Anyways, type this into like AI or Google or whatever. It's like the something big three, and it's like clamshells targeting the glutes medius, external rotators, side lying hip abduction. It's like a straight leg raises while laying on your side targets the outer hip glute medius, and then glute bridges targets the glute max and hip extensions. I always feel like if you could like do those before you start your day or before you go to bed, especially if you're not like lifting and it's like work related, that's sort of like activation will like strengthen things, but also create a degree of activation that makes you feel more stable to like go about doing your work day and all that kind of stuff. Because sometimes it does just come down to that stability, and that pain that you feel is just like weakness crying out and saying like, please strengthen me. Facial tattoos. I only date girls with face tats. Hey, see ya, Moonlit. Take care. You just turned 36, you feel like you only have a few good years left. Well, it can kind of feel that way, but as long as you just like get yourself into a healthy routine of diet and exercise and resistance training, like you can really extend your, prominent years for quite a while. Joel, do you resent us, and why? No. He'd written sentences that stopped halfway through, and then he'd just move on to the next like the previous was finished and made total sense. The handwriting got progressively worse too, to the point that we could barely make out any of the words. The last entry was little more than looping scribbles with only words like lights, moving, or trees being legible. And then there was this one part, something about being watched from the rocks, that sent an actual chill down my spine when I came across the sentence. Robert was clearly in a bad way, and we'd gone from expecting to find a warm body in around 24 hours to wondering if we were ever going to find him at all, especially after we found his boots. We came across both of them, laced, untied, with socks stuffed in them, sitting all neatly on a rock. And there was a sort of calmness about how they'd been displayed, an order to it, like Robert wasn't crazy at all. But to walk away from them, to just keep on walking through the woods with, from what we could tell, no footwear to speak of, we knew right there that he'd probably lost his mind. A couple of guys stayed behind to bag up all of Robert's belongings for the benefit of the county sheriff, and the rest of us kept moving, and less than a mile away, we started to find the rest of Robert's clothing. We found the shirt first, buttons were ripped, and then the pants, and his underwear last. All were in a rough line heading off trail towards some limestone outcropping. Now, Command figured that there was a chance that he'd been hypothermic and had stripped off of his clothes in that classic paradox of feeling warm when you're actually dying. It happens more than people think, and it doesn't make it any less concerning, but it's true that it's not totally uncommon. And so as we approached that sort of limestone, we widened the grid and said a little prayer that we'd find Robert alive. We had the chopper in the air on day 5, and once the weather was clear enough, and we tried not to put too much faith in the crew, You're healthy as fuck, but everyone around you's always complaining about body pains and shit. Well, yeah, just keep sticking with, whatever you're doing or exercise and stuff, because it's the only way to really extend things. Hey, Finksy, what's up? Wish sandwich, 2 slices of bread, and you wish you had some meat. That's funny. I dated a guy who later went out and got face tats, never had a job again. Good. I think we should all be on the dole, receiving government bennies for the rest of our existence and never do anything with our lives. We had the chopper in the air on day 5, and once the weather was clear enough, we tried not to put too much faith in the crew purely to preserve our own sanity. But then that afternoon, they got a sighting way up near that outcrop that I mentioned. The crew had spotted someone up near the outcrop moving near the mouth of the cave system up on the north face. They seemed to be sure that it was Robert, and when our team leader asked why, over the radio, they pretty much came back with, because the guy's naked. And that lifted our spirits a little, knowing that he was alive, but the fact that he seemed to be hanging out in a cave system filled us with dread. And this is why. Now, according to the rangers that we liaise with, Robert had been spotted near some old solution caves, as they're called. And these are the most common sort of cave there is and are formed by acidic groundwater, meaning some damp caverns are way bigger than others, and there are plenty of smaller passageways that a person could get stuck in, especially should they panic and get themselves lost. Ariel put eyes on a figure crawling inside, the body very pale against the dark rock. And so if Robert had lost his mind, we knew that we had to get to him before he got himself lost, stuck, or worse. And I was on the team that went in. There were 4 of us, all equipped with headlamps, radios that half worked underground, and all of our important ropes. I remember how cold and damp the air was, and how there was this sort of metallic smell. Something like rusted iron, really, and cave systems aren't known for smelling great or anything like that, but I ain't never smelled one like that before. We called out Robert's name every 20 yards or so, and while the passageways and caverns were pretty wide to begin with, they started to gradually close in on us the further that we pushed on. And that's when we found even more signs of Robert's mental deterioration. There were smears of what looked to be mud on some of the walls, obviously fresh, as time and the damp would have washed them away had they not been put there recently. And there was also gouge marks in the softer limestone. 4 scrapes, then another 4, which someone had been scratching at the wall, and really hard too, using nothing but their fingers. There were long scrap marks. Taco Bell's Revenge. Who is the I guess wasn't there a Chihuahua that was like the... Wasn't there a Chihuahua that was like the mascot of Taco Bell? His penor is all bitten up by mosquitoes. This is true. This is probably what they're going to find him as. His wiener's going to look 3 inches longer from being swollen by bug bites. What if that's a technique? What if, like, ancient tribes would go out into the woods naked solely just so their penis would get bitten and then swell up? It's racist? What, a swollen mosquito penis? The Chihuahua wasn't even a Latinx. Wasn't it? I mean, it's a Chihuahua. It technically can't necessarily be anything. It can just be a dog. A dog. Chihuahuas are nuts, though. There were longer scrape marks further down the tunnel where someone, most likely Robert, had pushed their fingernails into the wall before dragging them along. There was this little smear of blood on one of them, then one of the team looking down to point their headlamp at the ground. And there it was, one of Robert's fingernails, having been torn off by a particular stubborn... One of Robert... I'm reading this wrong. Joel, what's your opinion on the natural climate of national economic status of the planet? The natural climate of the national economic status of the planet. The natural climate. So that's just like an analogy. Like whether it's rocky or sunny days for the national, which is like individual nations, the economic status of the planet. So is this in relation to like other planets? Like how's our economy doing on Earth versus like Jupiter or something like that? These are important questions. Something that I think only Will Smith's son could figure out upon reflection with his 18-year-old friends at a Ivy League college. Remember when $20 used to get enough Taco Bell to get arrested for bioterrorism? I do. Chihuahuas were used as hot water bottles by the natives. Speaking of all those muscle aches, they were used as hot water bottles? What does that even mean? The Chihuahuas were like swollen up, and what would you do? What did you do with them? Save us, Jaden. Jaden Smith has 18-year-old friends. No, I just remember whenever that meme went around where he was like saying like, I just want to talk about the, economic status of the world. And that whenever, this was like probably almost a decade ago. But I feel like at that time he was basically just like some, 18-year-old retard who thinks that they've got the whole world figured out because they watched TikTok or some sort of fucking dumb shit on the internet. Only means since most owners don't correct them since they think it's hilarious, but they're pretty smart dogs, to be honest, and listen well if you actually teach them better. Yeah, I mean, aren't they? They're known to, like, have some of the most attacks on, like, family and kids and that kind of thing. Zolo dogs were used as hot water bags for pain by the Aztecs, I think, also meat. What does that even mean, hot? Like, they use their skin to make hot water, or they just, like, laid the dog on top of someone? I remember Jaden Smith said Tyler, the Creator, was his boyfriend. I do remember at one point Tyler, the Creator, posted something on his story where it was, like, his stomach or something, and then it had, like, jizz on it. So whether it was his own jizz or somebody else jizzed on his stomach, I don't know. Maybe he's a little gay. I don't really give a shit. Just keep your jizz away from me, bro. Keep it out of my eyes. And the way we use hot water bottles, they use Chihuahuas. Hope that makes sense. I gotta be honest, I've never used a hot water bottle for anything in my life. To me, that sounds like something from the year 1952. Oh, heat therapy. Okay, that makes more sense. So, like, just, like, for swelling or some shit? I don't even fucking know. Allegedly homosexual. What's up, Shorn? They laid the dog on their body, use warmth to aches, basically cuddles with a purpose. Don't they have any other dogs? They're just, like, breeding hot water bottle dogs? Is there literally no other manner in which they could have just, like, taken, like, fucking buffalo skin in the way, you know, putting in, like, wine skins or something, but then just filled it with, like, boiled water? What about, like, taking maybe a hot bath or something? Did he do the squeegee with his undies to clean it off his belly? I don't know, I didn't check the rest of the story. Wait, you thought Tyler, the Creator, was full gay, no straight? I don't know. Have I seen The Odyssey? No. I've had like 3 friends see it, and they're just all like, it was right, it was fine. One of Robert's fingernails had been torn off by a particular, that's the worst word ever. Yeah, they should have used dachshunds, that would make way more sense. One of Robert's fingernails had been torn off by a particular stubborn section of stone. And as we moved deeper, the passageway that we were in opened up into a low chamber, and that's when we first heard movement. There was a scuffling noise, and then the sound of unsteady breathing, and then all of our headlamps were on him at once. He was naked, and covered in mud and scratches with these long red lines down his arms and chest like he'd clawed at his own skin. His hair looked matted into these clumps, and his face was streaked with dirt. He looked like an animal. But of all the things that gave me the chills, even all these time. Is he trying to say the dog's carcass is killed and filled up the stomach or the inside's body with the hot water or something? Because that's the only thing that could make real sense from the Aztecs. You know, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go with it. That's what they did to our poor little chihuahuas. And whenever they talk about Montezuma's revenge, they're talking about whatever the chihuahua had cursed the people's buttholes with. They were sacrificed people to God on pyramids. Amazing that they even figured out heat therapy. I mean, I'm sure they had a lot of concepts, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, where did they get the idea of, like, sacrificing people for crop? Like, where did anybody get that idea from? Just, like, randomly everybody's, like, high as fuck on peyote, and they're just, or, like, drunk as shit on some weird fermented liquid, and they're just like, I got it. What if we kill your kid? Way at the top. No, way up there, so it's real close to the sun so that everybody can see it. And then we rip its heart out. That makes a lot of sense to me, guys. Here, I'll do it. No, you guys stay there, I'll do it. No! What are you doing? No! I was getting a kick out when people have to come out as straight because they have a gay vibe. I have to clarify that almost every stream. They had brain parasites? What, like everybody? A guy tripped and died at the same time that the harvest was great, and people were like, yo, I think I got it figured out, guys. I mean, it does kind of make you wonder, though, like maybe aliens or something. Maybe there were like actual draconian aliens that existed back then, and they were like, we will bless your fucking food supply if you let us eat your children and drink their blood. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying this seems almost even more insane than just someone being stupid, but if at some point in the history of humankind some sort of extraterrestrials had arrived and then made the sort of bargain where you give us your kids or your, people, and then we'll give you something, I assume it's just going to create a tradition that nobody really makes any sense of, but they're just on board with. Hypothesis: the human sacrifice is probably a way of population control. They had large agrarian cities, and maybe it was a way to keep them from expanding using too much resources. I mean, that would make sense too, yeah. They were all like, oh fuck, we're gonna run out of food by next year, what do you think? And they're like, I got it. Why don't we all kill them? Why are you talking about eating children? We're just talking about, we're not talking about eating the children, we're talking about sacrificing them. I mean, not me, but the previous civilizations, and the ones that are eating them were the reptilians, just to clarify. Demonic entities will at times grant certain powers or other things in exchange for human sacrifice. Well, there you go, guys. We got to figure it out. We figured out history. right in one streamline of thought. Boop with the 30 months. Keep inventory on you, loosh. True. I want to keep my loosh meters high today. He looked like an animal. But of all the things that gave me the chills, even all this time later, it's Robert's eyes that topped that list. They didn't blink. He just stared with this look of anger on his face until one of us tried to ID him. Then, he came at us, or at least, what was left of him did. He didn't scream or shout, he just rushed at us in almost total silence, and the only sound being his heavy breathing. But the look on his face, and particularly in his eyes like I mentioned, it was clear that he wanted to hurt us. A guy named Alan was closest to him, so that's who we went for first. Alan tried to steady himself and grab at him, but Robert slammed him. Alan tried to steady himself and grab at him, but Robert slammed into him so hard he knocked him into the wall so hard that his headlamp spun off and rolled away. And then as the beam of light coming from Alan's headlamp circled around us like this weird sort of disco ball, Robert sank his teeth into the flesh of Alan's forearm. Now Alan was a tough guy. He'd been on maybe 20 or so SNR ops by that point, and he'd seen and been through a lot of crap. But the scream that he let out as Robert's teeth broke the skin of his arm, I've never heard a man so terrified in all my life. He was screaming, "Get him off me! Get him off me!" while Robert shook his head like a dog trying to tear meat from the bone. We had to apply pressure to both sides of his jaw, almost enough to break it before Alan was able to yank his arm away. And after that, it was a case of piling on and getting him restrained, but he fought us like a man possessed. He was thrashing, trying his absolute damnedest to bite at us, and he even started scraping his teeth against the rock for a second once we had him down. And it was me that had to jerk his head to the side and pin it so he couldn't do his dental. I had arthritis my whole life, so I guess I'm taking for granted that people don't know what a hot water bottle is. I didn't clarify though, so I was getting... Oh no, you're good, no worries. They're literally dogpiling this guy. I use heating pads, I never used a hot water bottle, I never heard of it. I guess, I don't know, it just seems like an old tech to me for some reason. I definitely had used them in the hospital setting for sure, but it was like... I don't even know, it was like some sort of fabric thing that we like filled up either with water or ice chitlins. Oh, we already got to like 400 people. So that's what's so weird. I don't know, maybe Sundays are just kind of like a poppin' day. He even started scraping his teeth against the rock for a second once we had him down. And it was me that had to jerk his head to the side and pin it so he couldn't do his teeth any serious damage. He was really strong for a guy who had been missing almost a week. He'd abandoned all his food and water in the days before, but he must have been getting sustenance from somewhere, or he'd never have been able to fight less. He'd abandoned all of his food and water in the days before, but he must have been getting sustenance from somewhere, or he'd have never been able to fight us like he did. But from where? It was a struggle, but we got the cuffs and straps on him eventually. We carried them for psych cases, though we usually didn't use them, and after that, he just went limp for a while. He didn't pass out or anything, he just went quiet and stopped moving. Like his eyes were open while we were moving him, but he was just staring off at nothing, like he'd just given up all of a sudden. 3 of us hauled him out, with Alan close behind holding his bandaged arm, and he went straight to the medics on scene, who found deep punctures to his arm and then later to the hospital for some stitches and a tetanus shot. Robert was placed in a stretcher, wrapped in blankets and then transported down the mountain. He never said a single word the whole way. He just laid there with his eyes wide open, staring up at nothing. And I later heard that at one point the stretcher kind of jolted after the trolley. They're used to hot water bottle, all pots, pans, thermos, sink compartments. We've got options, folks. Folks, we've got options. Being buried in a rotting whale was a cure for arthritis in the Victorian times. Jesus Christ, everyone's so creative back then. They just come up with everything. Remember the fucking... We watched that one spooky video and it was like talking about putting all of like the evil energy of the house into a fucking egg, and then you crack the egg open and dump it egg out, and like the yolk is supposed to turn like black if you've excised the spirit. You know what I'm talking about? Like, how the fuck do they come up with like literally into this? Joe, I sent you a design. Check your email. Okay, let's look at it real quick. A live email analysis right here on stream. Merch design. Oh, it's a virus. Oh, this is cool. Oh, is this AI? Or did you draw that? Oh, I guess it would have to be AI if you did it in this short period of time. It's cool though. Let's Read 25. 25 years of Let's Read. Are you streaming the new Reanimal DLC? You know, I don't know. I heard it's gonna be sweet. But yeah, I don't know if I'm like in the mental to jump right into like a stream. Maybe I'll wait till like I heard there's gonna be 3 parts to the DLC, so maybe I'll wait till like all 3 parts come out or something. I think there's another like game coming out. I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's like Reanimal with guns. So if anybody can find the name of the game that's like basically Little Nightmares with guns, please do let me know. Maybe I'll stream that. Some hand-drawn elements. The base was AI. Oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, I don't know if I could put out merch with like AI, otherwise people are gonna fucking crucify me. You know how it goes. The liberals will take you. If you don't use their hand-drawn furry porn, they take your pee-pee and they shove a pencil in it. Doesn't feel good, folks. It doesn't feel good. Fortnite 2. That's what we're playing tonight, baby. How many stories tonight? We got 4. I bet we won't hear from Joel when GTA 6 comes out for about 2 months. Legit? I don't know. I'm so hopeful for GTA 6, but I'm also like low-key would not be surprised if everybody's like, yeah, it fucking sucks. It's made by idiots, and that's it. I later heard that at one point the stretcher kind of jolted after it hit a root or something, and once the guy walking nearby cursed or something, what the fuck is this saying? One of the guys walking nearby cursed, something out of a scare anyways, and then they saw Robert smiling. They only saw it for a split second, just this flash of blood-stained teeth, and then it was gone, and his face was blank again. Now, from the hospital, we later heard that he was transferred to the state psych facility once they figured out what kind of state that he was in. They tested him for head trauma, drugs, all kinds of things, but the only explanation was a sort of acute psychotic break, meaning Robert just went out hiking one day, then spontaneously and completely lost his mind. He stayed mute for weeks and then started talking in fragments when they got him on meds. He said he didn't remember anything past a certain point on his hike, but he did remember attacking us. I heard Robert broke down in tears as the memories came back to him, and then when asked why he attacked us, all he said was that he remembered being confused and scared. He was convinced that we were there to kill him, and so he did the only thing he could think to do at the time and attempted to defend himself. I heard his family went to visit him at the hospital, and I heard it was bad. Robert's sister said that she could barely recognize him anymore, and it was like the boy that she'd grown up with and the man that he'd become were just gone. Doctors did their thing, put him through all kinds of tests and examinations, but they never did figure out what had caused his mental break. Something to be written in his file, though. acute psychotic break. BPD, Beautiful Princess Disorder. Wonder how much of the GTA development budget is spent paying useless assholes at Rockstar who don't actually work on the game's development. Well, someone made a great point in this, like, you know, silly little YouTube video that, you know, I have a big pile of slop that I get suggested every day on YouTube, and one of my many slop videos that I was suggested made a good point in saying that, like, game development is a gig job, right? And one of the unfortunate aspects of game development over like a long period of time, whenever a major studio or whatever, or, you know, a company like Xbox or something gives a major studio, say like Bethesda, basically free reign to do whatever the fuck they want, due in part to like all of their successes from past titles, and they just try to extend their existence and justification for being paid X salary for as long as they possibly can, you know what I mean? And that kind of seems to me like some of the reason why some of these studios will go so long without putting out a single fucking thing, because what's the point? If you can essentially trick them into thinking that you're, you know, there's a justification to the continual payment of you, and there's no like financial incentivization to either expand your studio once you complete a project or anything like that, then who knows, maybe even like the developer, the larger studios above them are just like, well, maybe we get tax breaks every time they fucking suck or whatever. But I'm sure eventually push comes to shove and they need to restructure things. But slop on a shingle. Everything is a product. Big industries are making product. That's it. Every industry, it's for profit, not art. Well, yeah, obviously, right? But you have to like think of everything within like the incentivization structure, which yes, you're always going to have a product, but you have to motivate your employees to be motivated to actually finish your product. You know, even if they're not making like a direct piece of art, they might make a piece of art if it means that they can get done with whatever the fuck they're making and then get to the prize, get to the cheese at the end of the tunnel. But if instead of giving a cheese at the end of the tunnel is basically just as far as they want it to make, and it just has an endless supply of cheese, they're never going to want to fucking leave the tunnel. And so they're just going to be stuck in there forever until the person running the experiment is like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? We're going to run out of cheese. And so that they go in there and they hit the fire button that burns everybody alive. Joel, did you beat GTA 5 and play online after? I didn't. I got pretty far in GTA 5, but I never fully beat it. I think I did like the biggest heist in the game and then just kind of lost interest. And then eventually it went to PC, so I lost my like Xbox 360 file or whatever. And then GTA Online to me has always been just like a shit show. Like, it's a little fun to play with friends, but all of the modes that they acted like they were going to play, it's like there's so many hackers, there's so much bullshit, there's no good matchmaking system. It's like complete dog shit. Maybe I don't know enough about it to understand why it's justified, but maybe it's all the RPG servers or something that's kept it going. Listening to like XQC pretend to be a fucking police officer. Pull over, dude. Pull over. I don't know. It's whatever. The biggest heist was the last mission. Oh, okay, I feel like it was like where Trevor and everybody were like stepping away, and there was like a helicopter sitting there. Maybe one of them left in a helicopter. I have no idea. I was born in the late 1900s. Something had to be written in his file, though, so the official explanation became survival-induced psychosis. But between you and me, that was just a rubber stamp so the authorities could close the book on it, and all without ever really digging into what happened to the guy. Man got lost, man panics, and then snaps from the sheer stress and isolation. The report barely even mentioned the bite. It just said Robert attacked the S&R team and that one of them required medical treatment. But to us, that didn't cover the extent of what happened at all. We never did get a full explanation. Robert's case got filed away with 1,000 others like it was no different than... We never did get a full explanation. Robert's case got filed away with 1,000 others like it was no different from them. But let me tell you, If there ever was a case worthy of opening up a freaking X-file for SNR Ops, it was that one, because it was unlike any I'd ever been on before, and any I went on after. That's my spooky transition. Welcome to the spooky transition. That's what she said. Okay. I saw my cousin at Thanksgiving. He had a spooky transition. Okay. I'm jealous of the dude floating in the pool reading a book glowing in the dark. He's pretty badass, huh? Anyways, what else is new, guys? You guys are checking out the cheese caves lately? Is that what you're talking about? Maybe I should set the stream back to like real time. Just so there's no delay. You do think society peaked in 1890? I think that's when they had like the floating cities and shit, like fucking BioShock. At least I like to think so. And then they burnt down the great city of Lemuria. Just came home from Spider-Man. It was good. Yeah, I liked it too. I thought it was fun. Love your content from Pakistan. Thank you, friend. Good to see you. Hope you're staying safe. The mid to late 1900s equals mid to late 20th century, so yeah, flower power. Fuck yeah. Set it back to real time. Enough of this delay. Yeah, it's like a 20-second delay, honestly. And then however long it takes to get back to me. It's kind of rough. But at the same time, it is kind of fucking amazing just to be able to, like, that this technology even exists at all. Like, I had, friends you talk to on the phone, and they're like, they live in the fucking other side of the world. And the duration of time it takes for your voice to go into your microphone through a bunch of, like, electronic fucking cords and then arrive on the other side of the world in, like, less than a millisecond with, like, or maybe a mild delay. That's, like, fucking actually magic. Doesn't matter because the world was created in 1963. Everything before that was just digital backstory. I mean, do you believe in that, Matt, or is that just part of your book? My grandfather was a World War II vet. He had a bunch of medals and stuff from it too, but for the longest time, us kids only knew him as the quiet old guy who sat on the porch and smoked his pipe. Now, he didn't talk a whole lot about the war. Most of those fellas didn't. But every once in a while as we got older, usually after a couple of drinks on Memorial Day or something like that, he'd open up a little. Fuck. What would you do without your phone? I don't know, I guess I'd be happier probably, but it'd be hard to coordinate business. Fake business. Did you see that Tom Holland's agent has been on an insane run? He keeps getting him paid. He and Kirk Cousins must have the same agent. Kirk Cousins, like, continual existence in the NFL, like, baffles me. Like, to just, like, be a sort of, like, perpetual backup while still getting sort of those, like, in-between successes. But I guess that just goes to show you, like, right now, the overall talent, and I could be completely wrong on this, don't quote me, but I've heard a lot of people criticize the overall talent of quarterbacks within the NFL, which makes me a little sad, because in the same way that I'm, like, low-key not looking forward to, like, whatever fucking Gen Alpha's brains are with, like, iPad baby brain shit is going to be in the future. Like, that's basically what we're already getting with, like, NFL quarterbacks and their level of, like, intelligence, because, like, even the fact that they had to, like, call Phillip Rivers out from, like, a retirement home. The dude had, like, a beer gut and was 460 years old, like, and then he just comes in there rolls in a week and is like calling audibles, throwing touchdowns, and like actually had a decent, push in the NFL playoffs out of fucking no, I don't know, you know what I mean? Just like, what the fuck? It's fucking crazy. Anyways. But every once in a while as we got older, usually after a couple of beers on Memorial Day or something like that, he'd open up a little and tell us a story or two. Now, he kept it all very PG-13 at first and kept the darker stories to himself. But then one Thanksgiving, after everyone else had retired and it was just me and him watching old movies, he told me one that he never told anyone before, let alone Grandma or my dad. And let me tell you, it'll be one that I remember for as long as I live, and I hope to share it with you. Now, just a little backstory. Grandpa enlisted in 1942 after Pearl Harbor and ended up as a boatswain. What's up, Michelle? The Unk Bowl was Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers. I know, isn't that fucking nuts? Joe Flacco, dude. Joe fucking Flacco, bro. Something about him. There's something about him I like, dude. Fucking Joe. Okay, how do I say this word? Boatswain. I always forget this one. A boatswain, pronounce bosun. Oh, fuck. Bosun. Oh, I'm an idiot. Bosun is a senior crew member of a petty officer in charge of a ship's deck department, hull maintenance, and unrigging or equipment handling. Bosun. Alright, here we go. Their agents keep getting them paid even though both of them are mid at their respective careers, right? Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland pretty much is just like born to be like a cute little boy, I guess, for the rest of his life, and that's fine. You know what I mean? He's like literally perfect to play like this sort of transitionary phase of like being a high school boy to being a grad student type Peter Parker. And in my opinion, I think he's like literally perfect for Spider-Man. But beyond that, like whenever he played that like Drake's Uncharted guy, I mean, even if he was supposed to be a younger version, it's not like the Drake's Uncharted guy is going, like, it's not like Tom Holland is going to grow into the character of a gruff, tough, handsome, debonair, man. Like someone of like 007 status, you know what I mean? So, I have no idea. Why boat names are always pronounced different than the spelling? It probably just originates from another language or some shit. Let's just look it up. Why are boat terms always sounding so different than the language? What up, Samakai? Nautical language is basically a fossilized professional dialect. Ships developed their own vocabulary over centuries, and a lot of it survived even after everyday English changed. A few reasons it sounds so alien. It's ancient. English sailors borrowed heavily from other language, Old Norse, Dutch, French, Spanish, Portuguese. For example, starboard comes from Old English, Norse era terminology, while tons of sailing vocabulary enters English through Dutch seafaring. Ships needed extremely precise commands. Saying left became confusing or to face in different directions, so port and starboard sailors are conservative about terminology. Older sailing ships had hundreds of specialized parts, so sailors needed words ordinary people had no reason to use, like gunwale, scupper, forecastle, bosun, capstan, mizzen, blah, 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 blah. Well, Joel is number one handsy boy. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, bro. Thanks, homie. All my bros in chat think I'm handsome. Oh, I like that Robert Pattinson is getting away with being typecast. I can pin down his acting patterns like a lot. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know much about his, like, I've never really seen, the vampire movie, and then I haven't really watched much of his other stuff. I heard that he was, like, had a pretty wide range, so, but I guess if you're saying he doesn't, then that's interesting. I just used a Ouija board Saturday night knowing that I'd be an idiot and told to bet on the nuclear explosion in Iran before 2027. Polymarking my sources say bet big. Oh damn, we are gonna nuke. There's We're gonna nuke Iran. So, just a little backstory. Grandpa enlisted in 1942 after Pearl Harbor and ended up as a bosun. I keep forgetting the fucking bosun. Jesus Christ. So, just a little backstory. Grandpa enlisted in 1942 after Pearl Harbor and ended up as a bosun's mate on a smaller vessel doing search and rescue work out in the Pacific. Now, it wasn't the glamorous stuff that you see in the movies, not by any stretch, but it was a very important job, because once they got word a ship had gone down, be it a merchantman, transport, destroyer, whatever they had hit, the enemy that is, he and his crew would go out looking for survivors. They'd be looking for rafts, lifeboats, guys floating in life jackets, and sometimes they'd find them, sometimes they wouldn't, because Lord knows there's a lot of empty ocean out there. It was a tough gig too. They had to worry about the heat, the salt, and the way that the sun beat down on everything until their eyes burned. And then there were the days that they came back empty-handed with nothing but the feeling that the sea had already claimed whoever they were looking for. But Grandpa said the toughest day of all came in early 44. I feel like I should say 1944. It is so insane, like, how much has changed in 100 years. 1926, 2026. It's like some things haven't, but it's also just like, will blow your fucking mind. What's up, Pinky? George Clooney. But Grandpa said the toughest day of all came in early 1944, when they happened across something that can only really be described as a crime against humanity. Grandpa and his boys were out looking for the crew of a freighter that had been torpedoed somewhere east of the Marshalls. They searched the whole day, dawn until dusk, and came up Snake Eyes. But then the way back, they suddenly... There's a channel that's stealing your videos. Midnight ADS Tales is taking your videos along with your thumbnails and posting them as theirs. I thought I'd bring this to your attention. Thank you, Kyle. Guys, I gotta be honest. This is like the 10th channel that people have let me know that has stolen my videos. And it's never been like this before, right? Like, I mean, people have done it, but it's like... Nick and Joey Bosun. But like, it's never been like this before. I've never had just like so many copycat channels just pop up out of nowhere. To the extent that it feels like it's like a, I don't even know, like a coordinated effort by some sort of like botting farm or something. You know what I mean? It feels like, it doesn't feel organic. It's not like just like a bunch of random people in Bangladesh are like, oh, we're going to copy the channel and then we'll make money or something. It just like feels like for some reason, I don't even know. Like all these replica channels. Mr. Ball has a lot of copycats. They barely change the name. Yeah, I don't know. It's because you're getting popular. I guess, but it's all happening around the same time. So it feels like, it does feel like some sort of weird sentient AI, like something is being automated on its own to do it. And I don't really know how to like other people can report it, but I don't really know like what I'm supposed to do. Data farming? What do you think? Like if they create copies, they can just like create copies. Like if they create copies of the channel, then they can farm the data from those videos instead legally. I don't even know what. Mr. Ballin's audio. You know, that's a good point. I always kind of thought that Mr. Ballin would like up the ante on his like audio quality, but it does sound really shitty. Dude, the air videos that keep getting stolen is crazy. They rip your thumbnails all the same. Yeah, I don't really know. Just popular enough for nobody to know the channel. Yeah, that's the weird thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, because like if I go and report it, is that going to have any negative effect? I remember, Matt, you made a good point that, you made a good point before where you're like, initially it might help push some of my videos, but then it might also end up like causing my videos to like be lower in the algorithm because there's so much of it that's not getting pushed around. I don't know. It was like, you made a good point, like as far as something. Can you do a voice watermark? Well, it's like people are going to figure out that this is not the channel, you know what I mean, eventually. Especially if like things are reversed and it's just kind of like strange, but it does feel like AI just like completely ripping it. And because I mean, why would you create like over 10 different channels? And also, why do I keep getting messages where people are like saying, hey, I found somebody stealing your stuff, unless it's being pushed to my viewers, which just seems really strange, you know what I mean? I don't know, all of it, I just can't figure. There's a pattern there, you know, you can like sense a pattern, but you're not quite sure what the pattern means exactly. Because my voice is actually Otis Gyrie. Hello everyone, it's Otis Gyrie. It's so true, Mr. Bones' audio quality has not improved in any way, shape, or form over the years. Well, I mean, he's got all the money, you know what I mean? I figured he would do something to, like, you know, invest in his own channel. And honestly, like, some of the most, like, if there's ever something you should do in the YouTube realm or content creation realm, people don't give a fuck about video. They do give a fuck about video. It's certainly important, especially on a video platform, but make sure that your fucking audio is good, because there's nothing more disgusting than like shitty fucking audio, you know? It just makes it feel so unprofessional. I don't know. It's weird there's so many channels ripping yeah, I don't really get it. This is not the only channel I've seen this happen to. Well, that's kind of reassuring, honestly, because it'd be like almost like wonder if you're getting like targeted for something you don't quite understand. Yeah, it's weird machine learning stuff. It's like they're not trying to cash in on the videos themselves, I don't think. It's like they're trying to steer the algorithm, but I don't know to what end. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I started talking about the Jesuits ruling the world or something like that, and then it was just GG's at that point. Not heard from Otis in forever. What happened to him? I don't know. I think he became a drug addict or something like that, because he's always on his social media, like begging people for like exactly $100 like every day. You know what I mean? And it's like the only thing that I can, and he's also saying that like the WNBA player from like the famous one in the United States or whatever, like is his online girlfriend or something like that, and then he needs to marry her, and he looks very disheveled, and I don't know, it just seems like drugs, you know. And I'm not trying to be mean to him or anything like that. I generally do feel bad for him, but like the exact amount of money needed every day and like always like some new made up sob story, it's just like the only people that do that are fucking drug addicts. At least he's consistent, that's true. Every day I need $100 worth of delicious opiates. It's amazing. E-begging. Yeah, the e-begging shit fucking is just so funny. You see it all the time on like random social media stuff. Can someone please send me this? My brother ends every conversation talking about the Jesuits ruling the world. That's awesome. Or is that me? Am I your brother? Carol, thank you for the 5 says, hi Joe, hi everyone, just hopped in to say hi, finishing the movie Into That new house this week. I'm going to be listening. Have a good night. Carol, congratulations on the new home. I'm really happy for you, and good luck with moving. I know it's a pain in the butt. They searched the whole day, dawn until dusk, and came up Snake Eyes. But then on the way back, they suddenly spotted something on a beach on a little atoll. Atoll? Atoll. I don't know what an atoll is. An a-hole. An atoll is a ring-shaped coral reef. Oh, this is cool. Island and series of islets that surrounds a central body of water called a lagoon. Holy fuck, dude. Dude, lagoons are fucking sweet. How do you say it, though? That's the big question. Atoll. Alright, how the fuck does dictionary.com not actually have, like, an AI worth of shit to fucking, like, say things? The same thing has happened to Indy Navarrete. People make new channels with her old streams on Twitch. Oh, yeah, it's fucked. Sorry about that. Sorry, babe. Hey, guys, let her know I said sorry, babe. I really feel for her. And I'll do anything she needs. Even if she needs her feet cleaned. No, I'm just kidding. Atoll. Okay, it's a... Atoll? Utters. Atoll. An asshole. Sorry, I made that joke already. Atoll. Atoll. Okay. If he really is dating Caitlin Clark, then why does he need money? I mean, I don't know. I think it's just the delusions of someone who exists in a different reality, and that's fine. I have no issue with that. But unfortunately, I don't have any money for anybody with those kinds of perspectives. They searched the whole day, dawn until dusk, and came up Snake Eyes. But then on the way back, they suddenly spotted something on a beach on a little atoll that wasn't supposed to have anybody on it. And they decided to sail a little closer to get a clearer picture. And then after looking through the ship's telescope, they saw that it was a big piece of shipwreck, washed up right there on the shoreline. Now, they were under orders to investigate any potential signs of life, so even though the wreckage didn't appear to belong to the freighter that they were looking for, they diverted to go check it out. They make landfall, and then head into the jungle to go looking for survivors, and while they found people, they found them in unimaginable conditions, because it wasn't the crew of the freighter, but the survivors of a civilian transport that had gone down months earlier in the same general area. It was a passenger ship, so the survivors were a mixed bunch and included about a dozen families, some government folks, along with merchants trying to get somewhere safer. Apparently, they got caught in a storm which had blown them way off course, and after hitting some rocks, some of the survivors washed up on that tiny little island that they were on. Grandpa said it was maybe half a mile long, coral and shrub, really nothing much, just rocks and thorns and the constant sound of the waves chewing at the edges. They had no radio, no real food beyond what they could scavenge, and their fresh water was limited to a couple brackish pools and whatever rain they could catch. Things were tough, and there were a lot of worried survivors, but we were told that there was also a kind of commonly shared hope that sooner or later they'd be found. And by the time my grandpa's boat got there, things had gone bad, really bad, worse than anyone could make sense of at first. We were told that around 70 people survived the wreck and successfully made it to the island without drowning in the surf. But by the time my grandpa showed up, they were no more than... So let me get money to start selling drugs. I won't do drugs with the money. Okay, that's good. It's a start. It's a good investment. I would think copycat channels are trying to get following, get paid for work one way. I'd see it as flattery, but there's a fact that they're stealing. Yeah, but it's like the only way to make money on YouTube, it's like you got to make the channel, and then you got to like get you got to get to a certain amount of watch time, and then you got to get 1,000 subscribers, and then basically, if you were going to steal somebody's content, you would have to even if you bypassed YouTube's ability to get monetized, and they didn't notice that the channel existed elsewhere, you would have to maintain that lie under cover of dark for as long as you can. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Love you, bro. I've been listening since middle school. I'm now out of school and a Navy sailor. That's crazy, bro. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And thank you for your service. And I hope you don't end up like these guys, washed ashore. Just kidding. A dark and stormy night, your voice telling a spooky, scary story, and challenging Sudoku is a nice night. That does sound pleasant. But by the time my grandpa showed up, there were no more than 40. Some died as a result of injuries sustained in the wreck, and some of the weaker ones just gave out from thirst and heat. But not everyone died that way. The ones my grandpa found had broken off into something that wasn't a group of survivors anymore. It was more like a tribe, a brutal little kingdom built out of desperation and a complete lack of hope. Apparently, there came a point where some survivors realized that they were too far off course for the search parties to find them, meaning that they had to just wait to get lucky. It turns out the probability was way higher than they thought because obviously they only spent a few months on the island before they were found. But I guess at some point they worked themselves up into such a frenzy of despair that they ended up losing all hope of being found, and that's when things got really bad. After a brief power struggle, it was the stronger ones, mostly the younger men, who took over completely. At first they did it through controlling drinking water, but they expanded by gaining control of the hunting and foraging that went on, meaning people either worked for them or they didn't eat. And this was all done in the name of survival, of course, with the new elites claiming everything was for the benefit of the collective, but the only people who seemed to benefit were them. The island's workforce was mostly women, kids, and older folks, and it was them that did all the gathering and the foraging and most of the fishing, too. The younger men either hunted wild pigs, which they were apparently very successful at, or sat around drinking liquor that they made out of coconut water or something. I never quite got the details on that or how they did it. But having them all drunk all the time meant that if someone below their station talked back or even tried to take more than their share, they got beaten. Or sometimes they got worse, which also explained why there were only around 40 survivors instead of the full original complement of 70. Now, Grandpa said he and his buddies could see the hierarchy among the survivors, and this is Gilligan's Island, too. Joel, do I have your permission to post your old videos? No, please don't. Unless Google is in on it. Google wants me to be deadle. Did you see that new game, Poople? It's basically you take one word and you try to figure out how you can transition the word into the word poop. It's pretty awesome. Does anyone else scream when they burp so it sounds metal? Oh, that's pretty smart, actually. What's up, Vitality? How we doing? Oh. Grandpa said he and his buddies could see the hierarchy among the survivors the second they found them. The ones in charge sat in the shade of the only real trees, looking thin and... Excuse me. Also, I kind of failed today. I was genuinely trying to, fast all day. And I ended up not eating till dinner and then just eating a shit ton of Chinese food. And now I feel like shit. So that was kind of lame. Honestly, at the end of the day, I think if you really do want to lose weight, fasting can have its benefits if you can stick with it. But like a slow, progressive, small calorie deficit is just like the best way to go about it. You're cracking open a Dr. P. Dr. PP. Dr. Poop. The ones in charge sat in the shade of the only real trees, looking thin and mean-eyed. What the fuck? Sorry. I can't do fasting. My acid reflux will kill me. I wonder why. I wonder if you could just drink water to dilute the acid. The ones in charge sat in the shade of the only real trees, looking thin and mean-eyed, while the others moved like they were already half ghosts. Some of the survivors just about lost their minds with joy when they spotted a bunch of Americans, but Grandpa said the scene was still anything but happy. He remembered how broken everyone seemed, how they cried, but he also said that he remembered the stench, not just the usual island rot or island rot. How old am I? I'm 36. I'm unky. Just keep your mouth shut, Joel. Problem solved. Dude, for real. Just fucking tape me closed. Tape my butthole closed too if you can. Just keep anything from going in there just in case I get desperate. Sold my absolute favorite car yesterday and got another, gonna miss it. Which one was it? I had a handful of nuts today and they tasted like shrimp scampi. So my husband made me shrimp scampi and I ate 5 and was full. That sounds yummy. Joe broke his fast with some scotch and 6 gummy bears that were sitting in the scotch for days. My hair needs to fucking stop tickling me like a spider before I cut it all off. Dude, I fucking hate that feeling. The second you got bugs on your mind, it's like you see them everywhere. And I swear to God, like when I'm going to bed, Instagram will like go out of its way to like troll me by either trying to show me like a ghost video or something scary, or like some shit about like spiders. And it's always like just fascinating enough for you to like get pulled into it until you realize like, fuck me, man, it's fucking after midnight. Oh, what's up? Along came Airy. I had a cup of Oreo cereal and then a Whopper, so we both failed. It's fucking tough, man. Am I reading anything interesting? Yeah, we're just reading search and rescue stories here. What did I have? Noodles, chow mein? No, I usually get like General Tso's chicken, General Tso or whatever it's called. And it's just, I don't know. It's so bad for you and it's just miserable and you just feel like a big pile of bloat. It's just fucking, I don't know, dude. I just need to, I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I genuinely, like, I sit there and say, like, I just need to lock in. But sometimes you lock in and then the locking in doesn't fucking do anything. And you're just like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Not just the usual island rot or the salt, but something heavier, like fear, unwashed bodies, and old blood, all mixed up to something far more terrible than the individual parts. Some of the survivors looked at the landing party like they weren't sure if the sailors were real or just some kind of hallucinations. No crying, no questions, just sort of watching. Grandpa said that he didn't understand why at first, that he thought everyone would be happy to see them. But after he and his boys pieced everything together, their muted reactions started making a horrible kind of sense. And they were told that any kind of conflict between survivors was settled with fists, and if the grievances was big enough. And if the grievance was big enough, whatever sharp piece of coral or driftwood effort and consistency. I do agree, man. If you can just lock in for 3 months, you can completely transform your body, and it's just crazy. I've never been able to like go through like a full bulking and cutting, like, you know what I mean, period of time. It's just like I'll lift weights and work out, but just like whatever the fuck happens type thing. And I just feel like it's like the dumbest way to approach it. You're on the radio, not TV. Eat your succulent Chinese meal. Enjoy your life. You are loved regardless of what's in the tank. And that's not true. Because you have to love yourself, you know what I mean? And like, sometimes when you feel like a fat fucking chud, you're just like, you can't be like, you know, you can't be stoked. You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta like love yourself, right? And if you can't like be excited about the things that you've achieved internally, then it's just frustrating. Do you prefer Chinese, Japanese, or Vietnamese? I definitely think the Japanese and Vietnamese is way cleaner and tastier. Chinese is always just like usually like, I mean, depends on what you get. Most of the time, actual Chinese people are eating like fucking like bland rice with like bland ass white fish or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Whereas what the Chinese are feeding you is like fucking oil out of a dumpster that a raccoon shit in, and they're reusing it. Dude, the last time I went to like an actual Chinese restaurant and sat the fuck down, they gave me flat ass soda, diet soda, and then whenever I asked if I could just pull a soda out of their fucking little refrigerator thing, I got 2 of them, and both of them were fucking expired. They had expired soda. That shit lasts for like a decade, and somehow it was like out of date. I have no fucking clue how, and it just, every time you go there's always like some corner cutting or some bullshit that just like makes their, I swear to God, they're always like one health inspection visit from like going out of business or getting visited by ICE or some shit like that. I'm about to get to a body recomp once I get back on Humira. Feeling skinny fat after back-to-back surgeries last year. Damn. Don't let your dreams be dreams. True. Fix what you want because you do not want someone else might approve of it more. It's my thing. Well, yeah, but I want to be, you know, not, I don't, like I'm muscular, right? I lift all the time. Like, I'm muscular in the strongman bear type of bullshit, you know? But it's just like, being a big gay bear guy all the time is like cool, but it's not like fucking Ninja Warrior type shit, you know? Have you seen the mullet reviews guy? He goes to Chinese buffets and eats the grossest of foods. That's funny. I lost 25 pounds on it stall, but not sure I'm doing wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, you might just have to continue to decrease the calories by another 300 or so. The Chinese place I grew up was shut down for selling cats. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember like hearing about like a Chinese place like going down to the local park and like stealing the ducks and then calling it like Peking duck. And it was just like, holy fuck, that's hilarious. And then like so fucking many of them like will get shut down for like basically human trafficking people. And then you know, it's just like all those things, like the fucking massage, you'll like see in the news like massage parlors getting shut down for human trafficking, Chinese restaurants getting shut down for human trafficking, and like paying their employees like fucking dirt slave wages. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, why is it like always the exact cookie cutter form every fucking time? Imagine getting mauled by a bear. I know, man. It's terrifying. They tried to feed me. They tried to feed me at Dr. Chung's, my favorite Chinese restaurant. They tried to throw me in the fucking deep fryer, but I broke free. They were told that any kind of conflict between survivors was settled with fists, and if the grievance was big enough, whatever sharp piece of coral or driftwood was handy. About a dozen people died that way, murdered in what were basically these gladiatorial fights that everyone gathered around to watch under pain of death. Now, Grandpa said that he saw the survival of one of those fights, lying in the shade of a tree, just waiting to die with his wife and one survivor kid kneeling near him. That sounded weird, one survivor kid. Do you prefer Thai, Filipino, or Korean food? I feel like there weren't a lot of Korean places or Filipino places. Filipinos were usually like working as nurses. But I've had a lot of Thai food and it's pretty good. Just like stir-fry bullshit. Totally agree, Joe. I don't like that when people are like, you look great to me. It's like, okay, that's nice, but I want to look great to me. I want to look in the mirror and be like, God damn. Yeah, no, I mean, like when people, like I genuinely cannot fucking stand. I cannot fucking stand the people around me when I'm like, I don't want any cake, man, or I don't want any of that, shit, or I can't have any of these processed carbs. And they're like, come on, man, just because they want to exist in a state of sloth. And then, of course, I'm going to go with it, you know what I mean? But it's literally like one level down from a drug addiction. It might not be the same as crack, but it's fucking chocolate mousse cake. It's a little bit like crack. It's my crack. Grandpa said he saw the survivor of one of those fights, lying in the shade of a tree, just waiting to die with his wife and one surviving kid kneeling near him. His bruises up and down his broken ribs had gone red. His bruises up and down his broken ribs had gone red and swollen from where infection was settling in, and he had cuts that hadn't healed right and were still weeping. There was also, I can't read worse shit. There was also a couple of men who had some real bad limps from legs that had been broken and never set, but Grandpa was told the breaks had been inflicted as punishments for stealing food. Now, one of the survivors later told them that two of the original group had been killed in fights over the water supply early on. One strangled the other to death, but the dead man hit his opponent so hard over the head with a rock that he died less than a day later. Another man had been left out in the open sun for a full day as punishment for stealing a handful of fish, and he didn't make it through the night after that. All of their bodies were just pushed out into the lagoon for the sharks and the tide. Overall, Grandpa said it was the women who had it the worst. To him, it seemed like they were seen more like property than people by those in charge. And it makes my skin crawl to write this, but they got shared around among the ones in charge like tools or rations. Any man who tried to protect his wife or daughter got beaten until he couldn't stand, or worse, made to watch. Chocolate mousse butt crack. Part of a complete breakfast. God, don't you love that? In like every fucking commercial was always like part of a complete breakfast. Like who the fuck decided what a complete breakfast is? Probably like John de Rothschild. He's like, every morning you're going to want to make sure you have at least 100 grams of processed sugar and a vaccine and a depression pill. Part of a complete breakfast. Also, be sure to watch the news. Be sure to get your interpretation of reality from a university. And be sure to buy things, buy things, buy things. Keep buying things forever. There's a big hole in your heart. Don't ever look inward or think. Hit yourself over the head with a hammer if you get too scared. And when things get really bad, soon we'll be making suicide booths like Futurama. Cereal doesn't have enough nutrients. I mean, what the fuck even is cereal? Dog food for boys. Joel, you're too radical. I had the perfect rebranding. What was it? I'm ready for it. I'm ready to rebrand right now. Good, going back to work, but after I'm off for the week, going to hike in the Appalachian Mountains. Cheers, everyone. Good luck, friends. Stay safe. Bring bear mace or something. I don't know. I actually used to go to the gym so I can eat whatever I want and still not gain weight. People look at you like you're crazy. That is dope. I'm jealous. Keep that thyroid fucking pumping, bro. But you should should still hit the gym, because you really fucking never know when shit's gonna pop. Bailey Sarian did a Dark History episode on breakfast. That's cool. I forgot about Bailey. Is she doing good? My breakfast used to be Rockstar Rice Krispie treat and a cigarette. Fuck yeah, it gets everything going. Blood pressure and poop. Any man who tried to protect his wife or daughter got beaten until he couldn't stand, or worse, made to watch while the leaders reminded everyone who held the power. He said one of the older men had tried to organize a kind of strike where the workers didn't work until conditions improved. They broke his hand so he couldn't work or fight, and then denied him water until he died. After that, nobody argued much. There was no law but the fist and the threat of being cut off from the only things that kept you alive. When Grandpa and his crew first came across the group of survivors, their quote-unquote leaders tried to play it like they were just survivors holding things together, doing what they had to do. Grandpa was later told about one of them who tried explaining the terrible conditions with the excuse that it was what people needed. He talked about how they'd only been so brutal to keep order and how the weak had to make way so the I have Tucson veggies and scrambled eggs and sauteed onions. Nice. You gotta be fit in the case of a zombie apocalypse. I guess it's just sad in general. Just the concept overall that, like, the majority of society, especially here in America, like 50% of people are just fat as fuck, lazy as shit, don't do fucking anything, and will die early and be on medications until that death, you know? Solely because somehow in the last like 100 years we just like figured out how to like mass produce and just shit out a bunch of like terrible fucking overprocessed crap. Here we are. I guess we should be thankful for it. I don't know. I have hypothyroidism and abs and don't work out. Bong hits is my secret in a lifetime calorie deficit and 12 hours a day of hard labor. There you go. Yeah, I'm just drinking water. I do actually wonder why people are scared of body hair. What's that about? Kind of crazy to me. What type of body hair, I guess? Big old pubes. I lift a 50-pound child all the time. It's the first time I've actually had actual muscle. You just picking him. He keeps running at you. You just pick him up and throw him. Hey, get away from me. That's why I'm walking outside and listening, tired of being fat. There you go. Yeah, fuck all that shit, man. Just eat your protein. I mean, I say this as I'm like, I know the struggles of the ups and downs, but you just tell yourself, like, if I can just stick with this fucking protein limit, calorie deficit, lifting and walking for like 3 to 4 months, just 3, that's 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks, and then you change, What's up, Sarah? The pharmacist doctor just want to keep on going customers. Yeah, I know, fucking stupid. It's like the fatter people are, the dumber they get, you know what I mean? The lazier they are, the less motivated they are. Like, I think there's like this weird trope where like somehow like I think it comes from like Reddit, where they think if you're like lazy and fucking out of shape that you're just like gonna make up for it by like brains or something, which, there can be some smart fat people for sure. But honestly, some of the people that like have the most discipline or in the best shape are like some of the smartest motherfuckers you can come across, because of just like how versatile they are with like the shit they do. Like this idea that everybody that has muscle is just like some big Dumbo Bumbo is just like so fucking the opposite of reality. Hey, David Lynch's severed ear. What's up, bro? You coming for your annual yikes? Plus, I'm gonna, go twice a day for as long as I can because I generally enjoy it, which doesn't help with the fibromyalgia, as I'll be stuffed in pain for weeks and months. Damn. Starting a pig rescue finally helped me get upper body muscle. Has been great. That's good, yeah. Just gotta keep moving. He talked about how they'd only been so brutal to keep order and how the weak had to make way so the strong can survive. He tried to make out that they were the good guys, but Grandpa and his boys saw the fear in the eyes of the others, the way people flinched when certain men raised their voices. One of the women managed to whisper something to a corpsman. Yeah, David, you work on like Hollywood stuff. What have you been working on lately? At least I think I recall you saying that. I've got it plugged in a certain area of my brain. And the way that I remember Pokemon, I remember your guys' usernames in your life. Definition. Corman. Okay, Corman. Yeah, sorry. 20-minute cardio next day, cardio and set weight lost weight, we say. If you want to make yourself fat, you cannot be intelligent. Getting fat is your body's way of saying you're eating too much. Well, yeah, so like for me, it's just like, it's an understanding that like you're willing to take the short-term satisfaction over the long-term health of your body and satisfaction of life, you know what I mean? Which doesn't mean you can't like live good life whilst being a little bit of a porker, but it's just like clear that most of the time people that can have that discipline to like lock in tend to have a lot of other positive traits for, a fuller life, I suppose. I think hair removal is a multi-million-dollar industry and we're all tricked. Yeah, like Supercuts, that place is just specifically made to farm us, because it's like, why don't we just let the grass in our yard grow? Just let it fucking go. Joel, your chat has officially become an autoimmune workout chat room. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing 20 air squats right the fuck now. Get down and give me 1,000,000. One of the women managed to whisper something to a corpsman while they were checking her over. Something about how the younger men decided who lived and who didn't when the water got low. And that was all it took for sailors to start asking questions, and the whole rotten setup started coming out in pieces. Accusations, names, stories that made the hair on your arm stand up even in that heat. And it didn't end quietly. 3 of those self-appointed bosses decided that they weren't going to give up control, and one of them, who had a knife made of sharpened metal, taken from the wreckage of their boats, straightened up. Oh, straight up. Most of my weight gain was hormones, was out of whack for years, then depression, then motherhood. Yeah, it's fucking rough, right? But, can't get back to when you were 16 or whatever, but you can fucking lift some weights and try to auto-regulate some of that shit, you know what I mean? Eat better, etc. Everyone hit 20 twerks right now. And one of them, who had a knife made of sharpened metal taken from the wreckage of their boats, straight up attacked them. Grandpa was right when it happened. God, dude, I keep fucking missing words. Grandpa was right there when it happened, and said the fight was as short as it was ugly. The man came at one of the sailors swinging, screaming that the island was theirs now, and that no one had the right to take it away from them. They had to shoot the guy with the knife, and then as he went down, another charged them, and so he was shot dead too. The third tried to grab a woman and drag her off into the jungle to do God knows what to her, but he was pursued, surrounded, and then talked into giving himself up before anyone else got hurt. Once all the leaders were detained or dead, the rest of the survivors went through a kind of emotional collapse. Some started crying, and not soft weeping either. Grandpa said that they were loud, broken sounds that sounded like they were being held in for weeks at that point. Others just stared at the ground, completely empty, like all that violence at the end had burned what little humanity they had left in them. Now, a few of the stronger ones who hadn't been part of that sadistic ruling class helped the survivors get everybody up and onto the boats. More had turned up to help ferry the survivors, and they too couldn't believe what they were seeing. Now, there also wasn't most of the weight gain was the fucking medication amitriptyline. Gonna take months to lose after that. What was it? What I dislike is when I'm eating my delicious healthy meal at work and I got someone over here saying that all you're going to eat. Yes, Jen, I'm going to eat a well-proportioned meal. I know, right? Why aren't you gonna be stuffed and swollen? Why aren't you gonna eat something that's gonna make you have fucking an autoimmune response or some shit? It's just fucking stupid. But yeah, misery loves company, right? So would I date a larger girl? Probably not. It's not to be mean, it does kind of blow my mind. Sometimes you see people's faces who are pretty overweight, and then you see how their face shifts once they've lost 30, 50, 100 pounds sometime, and you're just holy shit. That person is the fucking monkey reaction you have in your brain where you just don't care at all, just suddenly turns into oh, who's that? Oh, they look nice. They look like a sweetheart, or something. You're what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just the second that you get in shape, it's everybody just treats you completely differently, which sucks, but it's just sadly the way of the human. I have depression too, but I'm doing good right now. Thankfully, I do with my days still. That's good. Lifestyle differences would break the relationship. Well, exactly too. Yeah, when someone's in that degree of out of shape or whatever it is, you just might be on a different wavelength than somebody else, and it's just not going to line up. Listening when driving back to pick up my dad at the airport, 1 a.m., taking the back roads and fear maxing tonight. Heck yeah, that's what I like to hear. Keep an eye out for Mr. Big Fart. The neuronal activity. John Goodman looks completely different after losing weight. Yeah, I mean, like, he's gotten older too, so it's a little scary looking, but it's totally different. Pretty sure it's the tricyclic antidepressant, right? I don't know. I used all the meds like 10 years ago. Damn. It's rough. It's literally the worst freaking feeling after I can't even watch anything to do with food because I feel like I'm gonna puke due to how full and engorged I feel. I'm so engorged. This reminds me of Sonic inflation. Oh, God. Rocker Red, love you, bro. What's going on? What are you up to? The stream has helped me relax when I cook and clean. Let's go. One of the friends showed me a picture of a past self. I thought she had used a fat filter for the photo. I was shocked she was so tiny after being so big. That's good. That's the glow up, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not, like, literally, I would never knock anybody for being a big, you know, a biggin, as they call it. Because I just know, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, it's tough to go through, but at the end of the day, you're going to be happier, you're going to be healthier if you just eat normal or in a calorie deficit to, you know, and get in shape. Like, get in shape one time in your life, and it's just like, you're never going to want to go back. Have you ever tripped before, Mr. Joel? I took like a microdosing of LSD when I was 27, and it just felt like basically I was like high on the most weed, you know, the highest you can get, on weed, right? That's how I felt on the microdose of LSD, but for like fucking 8 hours straight. And I felt like I couldn't sit still, like I had to walk, and I literally walked from the time we took it till like the time I finally came down. It was like 8 hours of walking. I must have got like 10 million steps in that day. And yeah, it was kind of funny because like my one friend was who like got me to take it with him. He was so paranoid the whole time, but I felt like I was in pretty good control of my life. Was I a stoner before? No, I would just do it for fun here and there during college or a little after college. And so I was like kind of familiar with the sensation, but I almost feel like whenever I get like too high, it, you know, life is like a video game, you know, you just kind of feel like you're a bit disassociated, but you're still there. The only bad thing with the LSD was it just made me feel like completely disconnected from any sort of sense of God, if that makes sense. Like there was some sort of connection to God I had in my brain that just sort of like turned off when I was high on LSD, and it made me feel like infinitely alone, infinitely self-judgmental, infinitely, it wasn't like a bad trip per se, but it was just like so self-reflective to the extent that I was like, oh my God, this world sucks. Did you smoke weed to deal with the stress of college, or you straight up enjoy smoking weed? No, I mean, it was just like party mode, right? You know, you like go home on the weekends or whatever, do whatever on the weekends, or go out on the weekend, whatever it might be. Fatty boom batty, yeah, I love Tim. But like, yeah, you just go party with your friends, and they're like, hey, we're drinking, hey, we're smoking, and you're like, all right, don't mind if I do. But it's not like I would like actively go out of my way to use it to like cope with anything or whatever. I just was like, it was just a way to like loosen up and be a dipshit with friends or whatever. Did you ever try poppers? What are those? That better be a snack. It boggles my mind how normal it is for people to drink and smoke weed at least once in their lives. I've never done either, so it's strange to me. Well, I mean, it just depends on like what social situations you've been in. Like if you've had friends who are like, hey, we're gonna hang out, but like part of the process of hanging out is like drinking this weird concoction of poison that makes you silly and fucking stupid. But eventually if you drink too much, you will throw up. Like, you know, that's sort of just part of the deal. Or like, hey, we're gonna go on a walk, but we're also gonna smoke this weird little silly smoke crap that makes you think funny thoughts in your head, but also makes you scared that, you know, they're coming for you. But yeah, you just, and then eventually you do it enough that you're like, okay, I get it. I haven't, and you haven't gotten addicted to it, and you're just like, okay, I think we're good to move on from this. Hey man, can you do some more Urbex stories? Yeah, I can look into it. Thank you. Playing Overwatch while tripping acid was always a fun time. Oh God, Who were you playing while tripping? Fucking Mercy? Was it Mercy? Hell is in definite separation from God. You got a tiny taste of that. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I was existing in a brief state of hell. I don't know. Maybe it did like shift something in my brain as like a frequency for a period of time that I just couldn't. And maybe because LSD is like an experimental drug that I think comes from the CIA, from what I've heard. And it's supposed to be like the truth serum, but I mean, it might be all sorts of stuff. And, you know, they're not that great of people. I'm sure they're not making like some sort of osteopathic medicine or something. I unfortunately have a bad relationship with marijuana, but my ex-addict of much harder stuff, I'd rather have that than anything worse, but working on the sober journey for sure. I don't know, life is just better sober, you know, like I get it. Have a drink here and there, but the only time that I ever have fun with drinking is like that first pass, right? You have like 1 or 2 drinks, at least for me, and you feel the alcohol sort of pass your blood-brain barrier like once, and it makes you a little bit funny or a little bit silly or find things funnier or sillier for a little bit. You get that little buzz, and then you're good. And then anything beyond that is just like making your body's like working overtime just to get you the fuck out of there. Felt more in touch with a higher power on LSD. Yeah, maybe it was just a different... I have no idea. You don't drink on a date? Maybe like a beer. I don't know anymore. Like I'm not fucking going all in on alcohol. And most of the time it's just like the fact that your body's like, if you're trying to like gain muscle or whatever, it's like all the protein synthesis processes in your body are kind of like shutting down while it tries to get this poison out of your system. So, I don't know, I'm kind of selective. There also wasn't enough room for certain families to travel together, and thanks to the language barrier, it was hard to explain that they were being separated. Some refused to let go of each other and even tried fighting us when we tried prying them apart. But somehow, and thankfully, some kind of communication was established and things calmed down enough for the evacuation to commence. The survivors ended up being taken to a hospital ship. There, they found more turn of fairness. Oh yeah. The whole hippie movement was created by the government. I heard about that, man. I mean, because there's a big shift from like the 1950s, like family-oriented thing to, you know, whatever the fuck the hippies were, and like being like anti-whatever. And then on top of that, like the getting away from, what was it, like punk rock, right? Like the punk rock movement seems like it kind of had like a large following, and then it just kind of like died down. Same with the pushing of like rap music and all that kind of stuff. You know, like a lot of all the stuff that like kind of degrades communities and tries to divide communities gets pushed and all that kind of stuff. But then anything that like helps to create community or like, you know, get people moving maybe in a somewhat positive direction or at least a unified direction just gets shut down as just dumb. Hippies were anti-war. Yeah, but I almost feel like that sort of like free love movement couldn't have been healthy for like the movement of like healthy family orientation, you know? Maybe I'm completely wrong. I feel like Tim Leary's turn on, tune in, and drop out had a lot to do with the hippie movement. Maybe. Have you seen the last batch of UFO stuff the government posted? Dude, tell me, you can summarize it, but honestly, anything the fucking government says anymore is just like slowly trying to prepare you for whatever dumb fucking direction they want to take the world, and I'm just like so done trusting anything they fucking say. Like, what do you, like, genuinely, I wouldn't even be surprised if the majority of like the Epstein stuff is just like a weird sort of controlled release of information, or just like a series of misinformation to lead you in 1,000 different directions. Like, why would the government that's leading things actually give you enough information to, unless they're like bragging about stuff, you know? I mean, it's kind of amazing like how effective the government is at sort of controlling things. There's always a fucking plan to like push one thing or another. I'd actually be curious if like for 1 week, and this is a challenge for them, 1 week, Just, like, take your foot off the fucking gas, you know? All of these fucking psychological operations controlling everything, just, like, I don't know. Just remove a few, like, funding dollars in the direction of trying to influence society towards, like, collapse. And just, like, I feel like maybe we would exist in, like, a utopia for, like, 7 days. Be kind of sick. If you do an episode in New Mexico, would you like if I send a story in from my dad about Ya Llorona? Yeah, send it in. Let's read submissions at gmail.com. There, they were found to be. There, they were found to be severely dehydrated, with infected wounds and broken bones that had set wrong, and that was just the physical damage. The psychological damage was a whole other mess entirely. Grandpa said a few of them seemed like they weren't coming back from it. They were the ones who had nightmares about the island, who woke up in their hospital beds in the middle of the night thinking that they were still there and they could never escape it. One guy used to cry almost constantly, saying in broken English how the weak ones were left for the sun, and the rest acted like the sailors taking care of them were just as bad as the elites on the island, and even the politest interaction seemed to imply the threat of violence to them. He said the Navy ended up classifying a lot of the details, so the only info on the island spread by word of mouth, and even then it only spread through whispers and rumor. They made it sound like a standard rescue op to recover storm survivors. Officially, the ones who died in the fighting were listed as Japanese-aligned enemy combatants, which meant that there was never any formal investigation into their deaths like there would be for any other civilian. Once they'd been treated, and all made recoveries full, the survivors were scattered to different places. Not their countries of origin either, just the closest convenient ports. And so even after all that, they still had to struggle to make it home once the war was over. At least that's what Grandpa assumed happened, and they didn't just decide to make their homes elsewhere. I guess I'm not great with the details on this, but you can't blame me. Grandpa only ever told me the story probably one time. Now, he said it stayed with him more than anything else because while war was one thing, it was pretty something. My life is like a video game. If a plane crashes between the US and Canada, where do you bury the survivors? I'd probably just take them back home or whatever. An old lady told me soda is bad for the kidneys unless you dilute it with alcohol. She probably just got it figured out. It's called the Limited Hangout. I guess it's on its own Wikipedia page. I mean, that makes sense. Like, I mean, you really do wonder to what extent, like, most of the Epstein files are just, like, misinformation or limited hangout stuff to just, like, lead you down a million pathways. But, I mean, like, is it possible to, like, generate 6 million fucking files? Like, I don't know. And I heard Trump was mentioned in them, like, 38,000 times. And then you still have people, like, just being like, well, he wasn't convicted of, like, rape, but just accused and associated with a convicted fucking intelligence fucking asset that traffics children and rapes kids and eats them. You know, it's just, I don't know. The whole thing is just, it just feels like one big bragging session before everything falls in on itself. To say that to do with how inverted the elites are and how they deliberately manipulate people's genders in utero and after, it relates to the movement theory as creating spores. What are we talking about? You don't bury survivors. Oh, that's true. That's a good... maybe that was the riddle. That's actually the riddle right there. If a plane crashes between the US and Canada, where do you bury the survivors? That would be a riddle for the Sphinx. For the Sphinxter beast from Egypt. He said it stayed with him more than anything else. Because while war was one thing, it was quite something to see people have turned into... Because while war was one thing, it was something else to see people having turned into something less than human, and all because they simply run out of hope. Now, he never mentioned the island again, but he often remarked on how thin that civilized... He never mentioned the island again, but he often remarked on how thin that civilized line was and how quick it could disappear. I think about it sometimes when people talk about how civilized we all are. Grandpa would just shake his head, said the ocean doesn't care about civilization, and neither does a man who decides the only law left is the one he can enforce with his fists. The character limits when trying to get your thoughts across cohesively. Yeah, it's rough. You're gonna have to speak in sign language. 500 people here. Pretty crazy. Thanks for being here, guys. That was story numero 20. It's kind of funny. My buddy randomly called me and said that they picked up a cat. And I don't know. It was 30 minutes before the stream was going to start, and he was asking to get one of my, because I have 2 litter boxes. I only recently got one because the one sort of semi broke, so I got another one. But the other one, the old one still kind of works. It's an automated one. So Pradeep's got 2 automated ones right next to each other. And my friend just randomly picks up a cat, and he has 2 huge dogs at home, right? And the one dog is known for getting out and biting other dogs and just kind of being one of those working dogs. So I'm so terrified that dog's going to just rip the fuck out of the cat. You know what I mean? There's just no way the dog's going to allow that cat to exist peacefully or whatever. But hopefully not. But he wanted to get one of my fucking litter boxes, and it's just no, dude. I don't know. It's kind of been nice having 2 litter boxes because Pradeep can choose which one, and I don't have to change it out all the fucking time. Do you use the litter robot? It's something that's blue crystals, and then the thing just moves this big rake down the thing, grabs the poop, pushes it into a magnet-based containment area, and then slowly pulls the stuff back to basically rake the crystals back into flat form. And I forget what it's called. I mean, I guess I could look it up on Amazon, but you get the idea. And they're pretty nice because sometimes you don't really have to change out the tray on it until 3 weeks of single cat usage or whatever. Water. Big love from the Philippines. I love the Philippines, friend. God bless you. Stay safe. The dude should not have a cat. He can't buy a litter box. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was some random thing, you know what I mean? Some spur of the moment decision to make everyone happy or something, which is kind of understandable. Oh, someone donated $5. Oh, Thomas, I'm sorry, buddy. This is the best live stream ever. Thank you, Thomas Fries. God bless you, bro. Thank you. Very kind. Good to see you again. How's it going? Would you do some shorter stories? I got a few crazy ones. Yeah, send it in. Let's read submissions@gmail.com. Got the link, the email underneath every video description if you want to check it out later. I browse the multiverse for fun. Heck yeah. Did you make the vid being streamed? No, that's from Robin Mikkelsen. He does the majority of the visuals for the channel. Oh. Okay. A large storage tub works fine for a litter box. I mean, that's true too. It's just that you're gonna have to go in there and clean up all the fucking shit and stuff, and it just smells like crap. I just don't know where he's gonna put the cat, because it's your typical split level house, right? And he just moved his one daughter into the basement to kind of have her own space. So is the litter going to exist down there where it's just going to stink up the whole area and she's going to have to be around it, or is it going to be in their room? Because where's the cat going to exist that the dogs aren't going to be in pretty much all up in its face? Anyways, whatever, it's none of my business. Am I cool with Unit 522? Yeah, Unit's cool. I think he stopped. I think he stopped his channel. I'm fairly certain. Because I think he was transitioning to, like, some other form of work or whatever. People ask me all the time what's the worst call I ever worked, and most of them expect some story about a kid who fell through ice or a hiker who just gave out from exposure. Now don't get me wrong, those can be bad. In fact, anything which involves kids ends up coming back to visit you late at night when the mind's not quite as strong as it is during the daylight. But one that sticks with me even more than the others was what happened to those 3 campers up in the Rockies during the autumn of '99. I was on the county search and rescue team by then, and I've been out of the Army for about 6 years at this point. I did 1 tour of Iraq, 2 tours of Afghanistan, and then decided 3 tours would do me just fine, and separated. I tried doing some private security stuff after, just to pad that little nest egg that I had left over from the military. But that felt like I was wearing down my luck a little too thin, so I quit, shopped around for a while, and then settled on search and rescue. Now it seems simple. You go out, you find people, you bring them home. Now most days that's exactly what happens, and even on the days that it didn't, it was better than getting shot at. But then, with this Rockies... I use grass-based litter with a sprinkle of deodorizing crystals if needed. Damn, you guys are bougie with your poop and scoops. I had a half Maine Coon, best cat ever. That's awesome. Yeah, I went over to a friend's graduation thing for their kid, and the people hosting the party had a Maine Coon that they brought out to show me, and it was awesome. Just like a big fucking cat, and it was so nice and pleasant, and it was pretty cool. Male coworkers be like, my wife hasn't slept with me for 5 years. That is a bit sad. I really do wonder, what is the key for, marriages not to, eventually just, suck? I mean, I guess you probably do have to just, get used to the fact that you might just never fuck again in your life or whatever. I don't even know. Is marriage even real? I'm not really sure. Having kids makes sense, but I don't know. The whole thing, I'm not sure. But then with this Rockies operation back in 1999, while the search itself was pretty simple, the aftermath has stayed with me ever since. Now the call came late one afternoon, saying 3 guys in their 20s, I think they were college buddies, had failed to check in after their weekend of hiking and camping. Now the cars were still parked at the entrance to the trail with no notes or anything slid under the wipers. And then since the weather was good, we expected to find them relatively quickly. Unless, of course, something had gone horribly wrong, which it had. Now we staged at the trailhead that evening, got the dogs out, waited for volunteers, the whole circus, and then I was assigned the primary search grid along with 2 other guys that I'd worked with for years by then. And like I said, we were confident that we'd find our missing hikers, and we found one of them that very next morning. He just wasn't anywhere near the condition that we were hoping for. We found him about 4 miles in, sitting on a rock beside a lake like he was just out there waiting for us to find him. And I guess everyone's waiting to be found in that kind of situation, so let me elaborate. When we find people, their reaction is usually along the lines of, "Oh my God, thank you so much." They cry, they laugh, heck, sometimes they pass out with exhaustion and from knowing that they were finally saved. But this guy, Rob, or Bob I think his name was, he just raised a hand very slow-like and sort of something similar to a kid in a classroom saying, "Present," or "Here." And I guess he had to be in his early 20s, clean-shaven with his clothes a little dirty but not completely torn up. He didn't have any injuries, but he didn't look great, and he was just sitting there staring at the water. But above all else, I remember his face more than I remember his name or what he was wearing. The first thing that hit me was how calm he was. Like I said, people get super emotional, but there was Rob or Bob just looking like we'd walked in on his coffee break. We asked where his buddies were, these two guys named Mark and Ben. But Rob said he had no idea, that he just woke up one morning and found both of their tents were just empty. There were no tracks leading away that he could see, no gear missing except what they were wearing, and so he went looking for them. Said he searched for hours too, just yelling until his voice gave out. It wasn't long before he was lost, and then when he realized it, he just stopped where he was and stayed put because he heard that that's what you're supposed to do. We tried to find his friends, and we worked the grids hard too. Dogs, drones even, ground teams, even a helicopter for aerial photography. But we found nothing, not even a scrap of clothing or so much as a footprint that didn't belong to Rob or us. And all the tents were still pitched in their original spots, sleeping bags rolled like each of the missing dudes had just stepped out for a piss. Their food was still there, their phones left behind with batteries completely drained, and it was like the two of them had been lifted straight out of their bags by a goddamn UFO or something. Now, Rob's story never changed. He gave the same details every time the detectives talked to him. He woke up alone, hadn't heard anything the night before. No arguing, no fighting, just poof, and they were gone. Now, way weirder stuff has happened to me. Search and rescue and military that I can't directly point to as weird, but this one had something about it, and not in a good way. It's not the setup that really bothers me. It's how Rob acted once we got him out there. Out of there. Fuck. Just kidding. Joel, do you think married couples could sleep in different rooms at a certain amount of time? Yeah, I mean, that seems fine. Like, honestly, it makes the most sense. Like, especially if you get, like, really hot in bed and you're... I mean, I definitely think if you're in bed and you're not, like, immediately in some, like, cuddle type situation, which, like, why would you be all the time? Like, you gotta get two, like, sets of blankies so you can just, like, have your own shit, sure you're not, like, stealing it from someone else, or the body heat of the other person's not, like, boiling. Sweet Pea, hi Joel, long time listener, first time commenting live, absolutely love your work. Thank you, Sweet Pea, good to see you. Thank you. Sex is just as important as conversation, relationship, particularly in marriage, if you ask me. I mean, it makes sense, yeah. Just like, how does each person maintain the degree of, like, perpetual interest forever? It's eventually got to fall off. And that's true. Sex is kind of like the main motivator that people stay together sometimes, 85% of it. I mean, it would be nice if everyone just got along like best friends, but that's just not how Earth works. Or honestly, if like men and women got along as well as like they did with their best friend, can you imagine? Like the whole world's population would be like quadruple what it is now. Married couples sleeping, I Love Lucy style, two twin beds side by side about 4 feet apart. That is awesome. I Love Lucy was kind of goated. Did they have kids in that show? I don't even remember. Let's normalize having our own takes on what is important to a relationship without making it seem like it's the case across the board for everyone. That's true too. How about let's normalize putting you in a padded cell? What about that? That's where I sleep at night in my marriage. Alright, sweetie, it's bedtime. But mainly because I turn into a fucking badass werewolf with a giant fucking cock. Look out. Let me out, sweetie, let me out. No, I can't. You'll do crazy stuff to me in the neighborhood. Come on, let me out. Only one kid in later seasons. Oh, that's right. He was a little boy or something like that. It's how Rob acted once we got him out of there. I've seen men after they'd taken a life. Not in the Hollywood, hell yeah, brother, we got him kind of way. And not in that dumb, oh God, what have I done kind of way either. That's total fakery too. It's something quiet, kind of intangible and unmistakably heavy all at once. And it's like it sits on a person and hangs over them like a dark cloud you can see long before you take a look into their eyes. There's that seen too much look in the eyes, a voice that's just a little too steady, and then these rehearsed answers a person falls back on because they don't want to think about what they just did. And Rob had that exact way about him. He sat on that rock, arms were folded, describing how his two best friends had vanished into thin air, and there wasn't a single crack in the delivery. No tears, no "I should have done something," just the facts, like he'd practiced reeling them off. I mentioned it to Lead Detective Batman. Lead Detective Harvey Dent. Been with my man for 10 years come October, and he sleeps on the couch almost every night while I starfish in the king-size bed. Oh, it's probably not good for your man's back. You guys should probably just like get another bed in like the guest room or something, just out of respect for his long-term health, you know what I'm saying? Kind of down this weekend and last weekend since my girlfriend been sick for a little over a week now. What you need is a little bit of Monster energy drink late at night. Joel's an actual werewolf and I, a vampire, were mortal enemies, but we defied the odds for the sake of destiny. That's what a fucking vamp would say. Freaking gay. If I could get out of here, I would have my way. I think being able to have deep conversations too, I think it's the only thing that's kept me with my ex so long, but yeah, everyone has their must-haves. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like for a long-term shit, I would 100% have to like talk about stuff. That's why sometimes I've gone on dates with people who are like, you know, English second language type scenarios, and I'm just like, it's fine or whatever, but at the same time I'm just like, that I can only go so many times being like, huh? What did you say? I didn't quite get. What is that? Oh, I didn't hear it. Who da? Like it's like if you're just like not entirely on the same fucking wavelength, it's just like, oh my fucking god. I was fighting a panic attack and started listening to an old video of yours, and it helps so much. Thank you for what I do. Let's read always wait. Oh, you're welcome, Patrick. Good to see you. Do you think kids keep couples apart or tears them apart? I mean, I think like that first period of time, like when someone has, a child and they're not getting much sleep at night and they don't have a village to help them, I think that lack of sleep can drive anybody fucking nuts to the extent that they like hate their spouse, hate their kid, want to drown themselves, all these terrible things, but that's why I think like it generally, I really do believe that like humans as a whole, when they give birth, it's expected to like, it, when they say it takes a village, I genuinely think that you need almost like a village of people that you trust, to sort of take turns raising and rearing a child, Like sometimes putting all that pressure on an individual parent is like, I don't know, enough to make people go insane. And who knows, maybe back in the day, whenever like people were wedded together, or like the men went out to hunt and stuff, maybe that was like the best part for the men and the women to just like get time away from each other. I think kids expose the issues further. Yeah, that makes sense. You gotta be a fucking team. And if one person's like super selfish, it's just like everything starts to break down. For those who didn't know, if caffeine makes you tired, calm, similar use to get a sense for ADHD, I did the same, and on Concerta, it changed my life. So here's their sign. I don't know, man. I don't really endorse any sort of medication like that. No knock to you or anything like that, but I would never tell people to go get on ADHD meds. It's just too open-ended in my mind. It also makes any neurospicy person tired, not just ADHD's. Yeah. Words. I mentioned it to the lead detective later and told him the only time that I'd seen a man act like that was after he'd done something permanent to another human being. Like what was done, and he was already living with the psychological consequences. The guy nodded and said that he'd look into it. And for a while there, I hoped that there was something to it and I wasn't just being paranoid. But Rob had a clean background, no history of violence, and there certainly hadn't been any issue policies taken insurance. But Rob had a clean background, no history of violence, and there certainly hadn't been any insurance policies taken out on the two missing guys. Now, what with them being fairly young and fitter and healthier than the average. And on top of that, they found no blood, no signs of any struggle, nothing like that. And it really was like the two guys just vanished from the face of the earth. Eventually, the search scaled back, and officially speaking, Mark and Ben are still missing. But unofficially, I don't think anything but their remains are going to be found, and probably not anytime soon either. Rob walked out of the hospital the next day. He gave a couple of statements, thanked us for finding them, and then that was that. The world just moved on like there was nothing at all wrong with Rob's supposed lack of knowledge. Last I heard, he moved out of state, and it seems crazy, but he was never charged with a single thing. No bodies, no evidence, just a story that didn't add up, in a demeanor, if you knew what you were looking at, stank to high heaven. I still go over it sometimes when I can't sleep. Crazy things happen in the woods. Yeah. See ya, C-Money. Take care. Have a good night. Alright, I'll proofread the story and do some editing and then send in the story tomorrow. Thank you, Halloween. Appreciate you. Your talking voice is so captivating. Can I be honest? Your yawns are too cute. Oh, thank you.
I'm a little panda bear. I'm tired. I've eaten too much bamboo.
Doing the weekly big ups. Thank you, bro. Stay safe. Keep that thang on you. Yurt me? Yogurt me? You go-gurt me? No bodies. No evidence. Just a story that didn't add up, and a demeanor that, if you knew what you were looking for, stank to high heaven. Crazy things happen in the woods, I know that all too well. But two grown men don't just evaporate in the middle of the night, and a guy who supposedly spent a day and night alone, terrified his friends are hurt or dead, doesn't sit on a rock looking like he's already made peace with whatever happened. I've pulled people out of way worse situations who still had fight left in them. Some of them even demanded to help search for their friends, but there was Rob, looking like he'd already checked out. And above all the other things, I remember that look in his eyes, that calm, like the hard part was already over. Still waiting on the watermelon to drop. What do you mean? What watermelon is... It's just like standing upright. It's gonna turn on its side here soon. Oh man, guys, what the fuck's going on? Why can't the aliens just leave us alone? Ain't it unfair? Why does everything in life have to be conflict? Where's the peaceful leaders? Where's the benevolent elite? Do they exist? I don't guess it's just impossible. Joe makes me crave watermelon more than I ever have before. It's so fucking good, bro. Especially if you get the sweet, like some that's actually ripe and sweet. I mean, gnawing on the fucking rind, or, you know, the ones that are just all watery, still fine too, but it's... You get those sweet, sweet bites that just feel like heaven. You hear or read about anything about El Nino? Let's check it out. Folks, let's dive in. El Nino updates? Question mark. I also have a story about when I used to see shadow people, so I eventually send that as well. Okie dokie. What's up, lovely or gloom? What's going on? Not much. Basically just recording search and rescue stories. And you know the deal. There's a pretty major El Nino developing right now. As of August 10th, 2026, El Nino is already present and strengthening. NOAA's latest formal monthly assessments say there's a 97% chance it persists into early spring 2027. The striking part is the projected strength. NOAA currently gives about an 81% chance that October to December 2026 reaches very strong El Nino intensity, potentially ranking among the largest events on record going back to 1950. The WMO's July 31st update likewise say a strong El Nino is developing and should intensify throughout August to October. Their multi-model forecasts show roughly plus 2 degrees Celsius or greater warming across important parts of the tropical Pacific, with the warming trend continuing into fall. For the United States, the strongest recognizable El Nino effects usually become more important during late fall and winter, rather than necessarily controlling day-to-day summer weather. The VMO currently favors wetter than normal conditions across parts of western North America south of roughly 45 degrees north during August to October, but individual regions can still deviate considerably from the typical El Nino pattern. One thing worth watching, NOAA's next official ENSO update comes out August 13th, so we'll get a fresh estimate of whether that 80% very strong forecast is holding, increasing, or backing off. What the fuck is El Nino? What is El Nino? Translates to Spanish to the little boy or the Christ child, historically named by South American fishermen because the warm ocean currents pick up near. It's a climate pattern marked by unusually warm surface waters in the central and eastern Pacific. So you're saying there's going to be like huge hurricanes or something like that? North American Pacific jet stream shifts south. This brings wetter conditions, increasing flooding to the southern United States and the Gulf Coast, while the northern United States and Canada experience warmer, drier winters. Warmer, drier winters. Interesting. Honestly, I'm okay with that. El Niña, La Niña. Ya Llorona. So are hurricanes gonna be extra bad this year? Question mark. Don't forget your question marks. You have to worry about hurricanes in PA. I mean, I do know that, but I'm curious, like, the effects. No, the Atlantic hurricane season is actually expected to be quieter and below normal this year, though the Pacific Ocean will face a much more active season. Because a powerful super El Nino had taken hold in the Pacific, it alters global winds in a way that actively suppresses storm development in the Atlantic Basin. The 2026 Atlantic Hurricane Outlook, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, updated its seasonal forecast, raising the confidence of below normal season to 75%. The adjusted totals expected through November 30th include 7 to 13 named storms, down from the average of 14, 2 to 6 hurricanes, down from the average of 7, 0 to 2 major hurricanes, category 3 or higher, down from the average 3. El Skinwalker. Been reaching 90 degrees Fahrenheit here in southeast Texas. That's pretty normal, isn't it? Especially during the summers. Love to hear cryptid stories. Now we got some crazy stuff, like crazy paranormal stuff recently. We got some more paranormal stuff in the tank, though, for show. Man, I sneeze one time and my nose just becomes a fucking mess. Sorry. Oh, man. A poop hurricane. A poopicane. Okay. Last story, friends. What time is it? Almost 1? Holy shit balls. Wow, 500 people here tonight. Thanks for being here, guys. I don't know how it works, but it's working. All right. Story 4 of 4. Ready to rock? El Nino is pretty wild in California when it happens. Last time we had El Nino winter, it rained every day from January to March. El Nino. Okay. I used to volunteer with Seattle Mountain Rescue back in the 1980s. Is that a bong? No. I don't smoke. I don't do drink. I'm a perfect boy. I'm a perfect 36-year-old boy. Alright. I used to volunteer with Seattle Mountain Rescue back in the 80s, and my HQ was up in the Cascade foothills outside of some little logging town in Washington. Now, I was mostly volunteers back then, with the team made up of a bunch of us who knew the woods from hunting. You ain't no human, you a beast. You're not really reading this message. I'm a figment of your collective imaginations. Perhaps. But either way, who cares? Who cares what reality is? I don't know what I was thinking the other day, but... Oh, yeah. I think I went to, I was babysitting my buddy's daughters, and we went to fucking, Olive Garden. And then I, got my mom to go along, because she always wanted, she has a bunch of, grandsons, right? But she doesn't have any fucking granddaughters, so it's kind of, it was kind of, fun for her to hang out with them or whatever as well. And, I don't know. I how you go through those weird moments where sometimes you have just, strange, ideas go through your head, is reality real? Am I is reality only based on my perspective, and everything else is just NPCs? And not saying that that's always what's going through my head, but I saw my mother walking back to the table, and I just kind of wondered briefly, I wonder if she's ever thought that. I really do. She's just such an innocent angel about everything. Not innocent angel, I'm sure she's had a crazy existence at times, but I just do wonder to what extent the philosophical concepts ever bounce around in her head, or if she just ignores it and just doesn't give a shit. I suppose I could just ask her, but you know how whenever you talk to your parents, they just they just don't get it. I was mostly volunteers back then, with a team made up of a bunch of us who knew the woods from hunting, fishing, or just living out that way. I was in my late 20s at the time and worked construction during the week, but when a call came in for a missing kid, we dropped everything and came running to the rescue. In my 5 years volunteering, I worked more than 300 SNR operations in total, and every single one of them is memorable. Most are memorable because we found our missing people, brought them home, and saved the day. But some are memorable for all the wrong reasons, like this one I'm about to tell you about. Was it your time to give it a granddaughter? I mean, I'd like to. I think that'd be cool. I think I'd be a good girl dad, you know what I mean? After having sort of low-key been around friends, kids, and all that kind of stuff for quite a while now, it's I think I'd be better at raising girls, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it would be fucking chaos. I'd just end up raising some gorditos. Or what's that one chick, the Gorlock the Destroyer? I would end up raising a Gorlock the Destroyer. It wouldn't be good, folks. It wouldn't be good. But some are memorable for all the wrong reasons, like this one I'm about to tell you about right now. The girl's name was Lisa. She was 14 years old when she went missing, and she was last seen walking home from school on a Tuesday afternoon. Her usual route took her down about 3 miles of gravel road and then a stretch of trail that cut through the trees to her folks' place. And then, since it's not often someone getting lost, you'd be a good dad, I bet, and an annoying husband. See, that's my fear. It's if my wife were to perceive me as annoying, I'm just just fucking cooked, man. Questions are boring. You never know if you'll get a real answer or not. Questions are boring. What's the exciting part? You gotta give them fucking riddles? Or a challenge. Maybe a physical challenge. That's how I figure out what's going through my mother's head, is I have to put her through a series of Ninja Warrior obstacle courses, probably. Just out of nowhere, as soon as she walks out of her house. Now, Mother, you probably noticed how you just fell into a large mud pit. Unfortunately, to proceed with your day, you're going to have to get yourself out of there and then jump across the various beams and logs and monkey bars I have set in front of you.
What the fuck? The fuck is going on? What? My fucking shoulders, bro. Oh my god. Oh.
Mother, don't panic. She just starts like slowly sinking into the mud. You never know if the fucking answer is going to be real or I vented. I don't know what you're talking about though. Like who are you interacting with that you're getting like fake answers from? Everybody you've ever spoken to is just lying to you or something? Has my mom listened to my channel? Not frequently, but definitely from time to time. Whenever I would do like short form stuff, she would like share the stuff on like Facebook or whatever. Then since it's not often I see. Then, since it's not often someone gets lost on an open stretch of road, gravel or no gravel, we mustered up. What are these fucking... What is this sentence? Why is this difficult? Is my mom in the chat right now? That would be bad news. Because I feel like she's like pretty susceptible to is pretty susceptible to embarrassment, if that makes sense. Did you ever notice that with like, being 36, like when I was fucking like 15 or some shit in high school, that's like when Facebook like kind of came on the scene. And I was a little bit late to it, but I made one. And, when you're younger, it's like, it seemed to make sense. And then obviously eventually everybody kind of like deviates from Facebook, and then now you see your fucking parents and your grandparents are on there bitching about Trump to each other or some shit, all day long and just stirring up trouble. But I mean, my mother's, God love her, I love her, she's awesome. I just feel bad because it's it's like that kind of thing where like everything she sees on Facebook is like, it carries too much weight, I notice, for like the older population. It's like every dumb fucking like piece of like venting that someone says is like forever remembered in an older person's brain in the same type of weight that like having a crash out at Thanksgiving dinner would carry. So if you went to like Thanksgiving dinner and like, just suddenly flipped a fucking table, it's pretty much the exact same like, level of like social consequences if you were to just like get on Facebook and say, I'm fucking hate everyone, man. Even though it's like most people just use Facebook as like some sort of inconsequential diary, to like people that are like boomers or whatever, like they just, to them, that's like you wrote it in the congressional records and it's gonna stick with you for fucking ever. And so for me to like, talk about her right now, if she were to be listening, I feel like she may or may not have a degree of like embarrassment, like all of 500 of you, or even my 1.37 million subscribers are like all personally judging her in, for every single ounce of insecurity she might carry. And to me, if she were to ever feel that way, and God, I pray she doesn't, I would feel infinitely guilty for making her feel bad. Anyways, she's nice though. But yeah, Facebook is fucking bonkers, man. Like, people just need to get the fuck out of there. I mean, I'm not saying anywhere else is better, because TikTok and Instagram is rotting our brain just the fucking same. I keep Facebook solely so I can offer terrible advice to people in a group where people ask for terrible advice. That's funny. Or so you can buy Pokemon cards on Facebook Marketplace. Then, since it's not often someone gets lost on an open stretch of road, gravel or no gravel, we mustered up on the trailhead around dusk. Now the sun was going down early that time of year as it was October, so we moved as fast as we could, mostly with just the standard stuff at first, like grid searches, looking for footprints, or anything that she might have dropped, along with the really old school stuff like just calling out her name. We had a little daylight to work with at first, but it wasn't long before it was full dark and no stars. About an hour in, fog was starting to settle in these low spots. I was on the ground team with 3 other guys, and we'd been out maybe 2 hours when I first noticed him. Now at first he was just this figure off to the side of the search line, standing in the trees maybe 80 yards out. He had a dark coat, dark pants, and a baseball cap on, and he was just sort of standing there, watching us. I shone my flashlight that way, and he stepped back into the shadows like he didn't want to be seen. And while that might ring alarm bells for a lot of you, it's actually not all that rare. You sometimes get locals who hear about a search and they'll drive over to start rubbernecking. Some do it out of malice, convinced that we're not doing our jobs right. Others do it just because they're curious and even try to volunteer sometimes. But this guy, he stayed way back. I called over to the team leader on the radio and said that there was some dude watching us. He radioed back to keep an eye on him, but otherwise stay on task. Now, as always, the missing kid came first. I kept on working and moving from place to place, but every time we'd shift the line or circle back toward the road, there he'd be again, still tracking parallel to us. Not helping, not calling out the girl's name, just watching us very quietly. Now once, when we stopped to rest and pass around some thermos of coffee, I saw him closer, maybe 40 yards at that. I do have PTSD, by the way, but that happened long after I was born, so not the main cause of my POTS, but you might have triggered it. You know, maybe the PTSD came before you were born. That's a possibility. Have you ever looked into your generational trauma? I'm gonna need a DNA sample. Probably spit. Or milk. Sorry. Imagine going to like a doctor's and like, okay, can we get a milk sample? What? Excuse me? Yeah, just here's a cup. We just need a milk sample. Whenever you get a chance. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, Doc. You got it. Did you have an iPhone and iPod at the same time? No, I didn't get like a smartphone till like I probably didn't get a smartphone till I was like 25 or some shit. And then I never had like an iPod, but I did have a fucking Zune. I remember I was like the only person in high school who had a fucking Zune, a Microsoft Zune. Talk about being a loser. It literally did everything an iPod did except less. And, you know, I don't know. There was like one other kid in the school that had a fucking Zune, and we were Zune bros. It just reminds me of that like episode of Family Guy where he's like, I gotta even look it up, like, which MP3 player did Stewie from Family Guy have? There's like this one skit where like Stewie famously appeared in a classic silhouetted style op. No, fuck. I don't know. He's asking about like some like Samsung like MP3 player update and if they're ever going to do an update for it. And that's literally like, I just related so fucking hard to like a Zune. Cause that was how it was. It was like you're always, you know what I mean? Do you ever like exist in a very specific niche for some type of like piece of technology? Like a Zune was the same thing. Like you were always like waiting like maybe like years before you got some fucking like update that was like necessary for quality of life. And the same thing fucking happened. I remember like when the orange box came out for, you know, the Valve orange box, and it had like a bunch of games like Portal 1 and Portal 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2 or whatever the fuck. But I you know what? Maybe that wasn't in that, but there was literally a Counter-Strike Source, I think it was Counter... Yeah, was it? It was like Counter-Strike, but on the fucking Xbox 360 specifically. And I was so stoked to, like, play it. But, like, literally not a single fucking person got it. And, like, the updates that they were just, like, endlessly getting on PC, you just, like, never got on your Xbox. I'm like, this fucking sucks. Zooners Unite. The SanDisk Sansa was literally the best. You could buy $1 for $1. Yeah, that's probably what Stewie Griffin had. The military wired 1,700 PS3s together so they could analyze satellite imagery with wild. I do remember when the PS3 came out and it was like, as soon as you booted it up, it was like, can we use your PS3 to map proteins? And you're like, what? What the fuck? And it's like, we just want to like look at DNA and stuff and use your PS3 like idly in the background to like mine, which most likely they were probably like secretly mining Bitcoin with your shit. But it was just like, while your PS3 was like on idle, it was just like slowly building a fucking database on like DNA. It was like the weirdest shit ever. What's up, Angel? We kept on working and moving from place to place, but every time we'd shift the line or circle back toward the road, there he'd be again, still tracking parallel to us. Not helping, not calling out the girl's name, just watching us, all quiet. Now once, when we stopped to rest and pass around the thermos of coffee, I saw him closer, maybe 40 yards that time. His face looked under that cap, and I'm not trying to make it out that I saw it coming or anything, but I'm sure it gave me the creeps. His face looked under the, maybe like strange under that cap. I don't know what they're trying to say here. Folding proteins, yeah, I think that's what it was doing on the PlayStation. I was so pumped to have my Sony Walkman CD player and had a music. Dude, I remember like a specific guy at Walmart when I was in 5th grade when I got that like Sony Walkman that was like wildly popular with a ton of people, which was a CD player but handheld and like had like a little Velcro thing that could like lets you hold it. And it was almost like getting an iPod. It was like basically like a high-end, you know, CD player. But I just remember getting it, and the guy, when he like sold it to us, he went through all these like very emotive motions when we asked him like, what's like the 2-minute non-skip thing? There was like some term for like basically for X amount of time your CD player will not skip, which was like, oh, that's awesome. We're not going to get a fucking record scratch like mid-using of technology. But I remember him just being like, so if you like, you know, pass it, throw it, drop it, or punt it, and I just specifically remember him going through like the full range of motion of like lifting his leg up, you know, in a pretty flexible way to demonstrate that you could punt your CD Sony Walkman. He's like, if you do that, it's not going to skip at all. And it's like, I don't know in like what scenario you would ever fucking just like punt your CD player into the sky. Maybe if you were listening to like Eminem or some shit like that, but the Discman, yeah. But yeah, he sold it to me that day and I bought it. I feel like it was actually like pretty affordable. Did I ever have an emo or scene phase? I feel like I dressed like a fucking idiot back in like when I was in like 5th or 6th grade for a little bit. Like I was trying, you know, because I was trying to like be into like, I don't even know, fucking Limp Bizkit bullshit or like skateboarding and that kind of stuff. But then like every time I would try any form of extreme sport, I would immediately feel the excruciating pain there is of like crashing in an extreme sport, whether it's like trying to hit a jump in snowboarding and just eating shit, or trying to skateboard down a hill and eating shit, or rollerblading and eating shit. And it was just like every time I would eat shit in any of those like more extreme sports, I was just like instantaneously like, this fucking sucks. I don't know why anyone does this. I don't like the feeling of scraping my skin on pavement or like breaking my tailbone on fucking hard floor. I don't know. Frosted tips. Just the tip. Just the tip was frosted back in the day. I remember trying to walk with my Discman, Skip City. I know, dude, it was bullshit. It's like you had to sit there and like carefully balance it like a spinning plate. My husband looks at me confused when I sing Backstreet Boys in the car. He's used to listening to metal. Dude, it was back in the day. 5th grade, arguing who's better, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, and it's like arguing like who's cooler, gay porn or gay porn with no anal penetration. His face looked strange under that cap, and I'm not trying to make out that I saw it coming or anything, but he sure did give me the creeps the time that I saw him closer. One of the older guys, Pete, muttered something about damn ghoul journalists, and we all laughed a little, in the way you do when you just shake it off. It hadn't occurred to me that he might have been some local journalist who wanted to write a story on the girl's disappearance, but as it turned out, Pete was wrong on that wrong. What? Jesus Christ. Anxiety is 100% real when, doctors do tend to just say that they, instead of actually looking into it more. I mean, the thing with anxiety is that it's like probably hormonal, so it could be anything from like Graves' disease, autoimmune shit, to like, oh, I drank too much caffeine, you know what I mean? It's just like so much random crap that can cause a symptom at the end of the day. Because I mean, that's all anxiety really is. It's a symptom, and you don't figure out the underlying cause. It's just kind of like ambiguous. Joel, do you also think house phones and DVDs feel ancient now? You know, I see people, like I still have DVDs under like my TV stand just like sitting there untouched forever. But it's cool to look at them. But I don't really feel like they look ancient since I existed during their time. But seeing a house phone in somebody's place would just be like, oh fuck. Careful, Joel, that takes a village to raise a child comment sounds like socialism. I don't really think, though, it just means community, you know? I'm not talking like statewide mandated fucking you pay taxes or we kill you type socialism. I mean, I'm just talking fucking just look out for each other to help raise a baby. You need like grandma, you need fucking grandpa, uncle, blunkle, schnuncle, the friend of the schmend, you know? Daniela, thank you for the gifter to Sedona. Thank you. You guys are still awake. We are. What's up, Beth? What's poppin'? It hadn't occurred to me that he might have been a local journalist who wanted to write a story on the girl's disappearance. But as it turned out, Pete was wrong on that one. Dead wrong. By midnight, the ground search was winding down for the night, and we'd still found no sign of her. We set up a base camp near the trailhead with generators and lights and tried not to put all of our faith in some We set up a base camp near the trailhead with generators and lights and tried not to put all of our hope into the aerial unit, which was supposed to come in at first light if the weather held. Now I remember I was on overnight watch rotation, just keeping the radios hot and the coffee going, and then around 2 a.m, I stepped out to take a leak, and there he was again. He was further down the road this time, standing by the tree line under a streetlight that barely cut through the fog, and once again it looked like he was just observing us. I was tired and in no mood for him by then, and so I yelled out, asking if he needed something in that sort of passive-aggressive, loud kind of way. I thought he might try to explain himself, especially if he was a reporter or something, but he just turned and walked off into the dark without a word. I told the deputy on scene, and he said that he'd keep an eye out, but we both knew resources were thin. Morning came, and since the weather held, Ariel went up at around 7. They were doing expanded circles, looking for stuff like clothing or movement or disturbed ground. And then about an hour in, the pilot radioed that they'd spotted a man walking a ridge about a ridge. Started seeing a man walking with a ridge wallet. It was a ridge wallet, and he was a BetterHelp therapist. Research throws light on the mystery of why women are much more prone to autoimmune disorders. A molecule made by one X chromosome in every female cell can generate antibodies to women's own tissues. Damn. How do you fight? What's your guys' greatest way to fight back against autoimmune stuff? Hypothetically, somebody you know got Graves' disease actually that's attacking their thyroid. What would you do in that scenario? Probably just take your clothes off, right? Thyroid med, heartburn med, anxiety meds, weight loss meds, nausea meds, usually migraine meds too. Damn, dude. How do they not fucking mix with each other? Prayers, yeah. I still have my Pokemon games on my Game Boy. Fuck yeah, dude. Glad to be here listening. I live in British Columbia and also everything is on fire. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Recent Stanford study prescribed drugs that shut down the immune system. Oh fuck, that sucks. I feel like that creates a myriad of other issues as well. Isn't it a good idea to fast since it improves your immune system? I do hear that. I do hear that. You got Lyme's disease from a tick in Pennsylvania. Fuck, man, I'm sorry. Who knows? I probably have Lyme's disease from a tick that, probably crawled into my asshole and I was just, totally unawares and I just pooped it out. You really never know. They're so fucking small and sneaky. Then about an hour in, the pilot radioed that they'd spotted a man walking a ridge about 2 miles east of the search area, one with almost the exact same description to the guy who'd been shadowing our search. Dark coat, dark pants, baseball cap. They tracked him for a while from the air and he looked at them a bunch of times to show that same pale face as he walked through the brush. Ariel then said that he reached a gravel road, turned down it, and then walked until we reached some isolated property a few miles down. The crew said it was this old 2-story place with peeling paint and no neighbors for at least half a mile, and then after watching him go inside, he hadn't come out again. Now, that was enough for the sheriff's office to get a warrant signed by a judge, and then as soon as the paperwork came through, they dispatched 2 of their deputies to go check it out. I was still at the command post when the call came over the radio that they were at the house, and from what I heard later, and from the after-action talk as well, the guy who answered the door seemed perfectly calm and perfectly reasonable. They asked why he'd been shadowing the search, and he gave some, once again, acceptable answer about having heard that there was a missing girl and wanting to help. The deputies asked why he'd acted so skittish, such as walking off into the dark when I called out to him, but he said he just didn't want to get in the way. I heard that both deputies figured that it was probably a false alarm, but seeing as safe is always better than sorry, they asked if they could take a look inside and the guy said sure. The deputies followed him into his kitchen, said the place was kinda cluttered too, dirty dishes, old stacks of newspapers, empty cans of ham that would have had flies buzzing around them in the summertime. One deputy was talking to him, the other was looking around, and then out of the blue, the guy just moved. He lunged for a drawer, pulled out a pistol, and then opened fire on each of the deputies from point blank. The first shot hit one deputy in the shoulder and spun him around like a top. The other deputy... God, dude. I saw this one video the other day where this dude, I don't even know what his story was, but it was basically about getting pulled over for some particular thing, and he's like, you got your license, registration? And the guy's like, yeah, sure, I got it right here. And he pulls to the center dash and just pulls out a pistol and just fucking unloads on this cop, right? And the guy, the cop died, sadly. And then it was just every fucking cop car in the entire county just pursues this dude on the highway. It was just so many fucking cops, more than the Miami Mall incident it looked like. And then they finally his car crashes someplace and he's just there, and every cop car surrounding him just fucking unloading on this dude from every possible angle. It was, I don't know, whenever they did the forensic search, they just showed it, and his body was just a pin cushion of fucking bullets, which was just, I don't know, it was just insane. My spine and joints are attacking themselves, and my spine's been fusing slowly since I was a kid. Diet plays a role, but I'm waiting to get back on Humira any day now. It's essentially shuts off the immune system. Fuck, dude. But then what happens when you do that? Do you just get like sick all the time and die, or not die, but like get like infections and stuff? Swiss cheese. Is the guy okay? I think he survived, yeah. But he is Swiss cheese, literally. Swiss cheese, Swiss cheese. Has anybody seen that guy on Instagram who's like pretends to be Wolverine, and he's just fat. He's not fat as shit, but he's actually kind of impressive physically. He dresses like Wolverine with like these fake claws, and just like sprints as fast as he fucking can. He looks pretty fast, and then he just does like Wolverine moves, like Swiss cheese. Are you ready, bub? And then he does like, you know, tornado claw and. Literally no fucking clue what the fuck he's doing, but it's funny. Tornado claw, Swiss cheese. And then I think he does all of it just like to promote his like music, which he's actually like a pretty good rapper, like genuinely kind of impressive. But it's like wild to think like to go down that realm of like short form content, and you find something so niche, so specifically niche that of like dressing up and acting like Wolverine, and then that's essentially what you got to do every single day forever because the algorithm demands like endless fucking content as like a grown man dressed as Wolverine. It just looks, I mean, he's doing a good job with it, but it genuinely looks fucking like a humiliation ritual forever. The first shot hit one deputy in the shoulder and spun him around like a top. The other deputy threw himself back to avoid the guy's shots, then drew and returned fire. I heard at least 4 of the deputy's 5 shots rip through our guy, sending him back against some cabinets with a crash, and then down onto the floor with some big thud. And with his wounded coworker lying on the kitchen floor, the deputy that shot the guy went about clearing the house before he called for backup and medical. And he then went about treating the wounded man's injuries, and then there was something he noticed during that clearance. The basement door was locked from the outside with a padlock, and when the cops came to open it, they heard something faint coming downstairs, something like metal on metal. They forced the door, went down into the dark with their flashlights, and that's where they found her. Lisa, the girl we'd been looking for, chained by the ankle to a pipe in the corner of this unfinished cellar. The guy had turned it into a prison cell. Concrete floor, bare bulb that barely worked, mattress that looked like it had been down there a long time. She was alive, thank God, but was scared out of her mind, and I heard she didn't start really calming down again until her mom and dad arrived at that staging area to come get her. She was half-starved and severely dehydrated, but by some miracle, she hadn't been, well, let's just say she was intact enough that the doctors said that she'd recover physically. Mentally, I don't know how any young woman could get over something like that, but time heals all wounds, I suppose. We never got the full details on exactly how he'd had her. How long? I cosplay as the Reader, Cyclops. A trick to fighting this stuff is to eliminate inflammation, likely if you eat mostly veggies, fish, alkaline foods. It helps. It's not a cure, though. It's found pricey. Yeah, damn. I also had mono from my parents forcing my twin and I to share drinks. Damn. Jarlsberg cheese prevents lung cancer? What do you mean? What the hell is that? In high school, I got a double ear infection on top of a bad sinus infection. My mom told me to stay home, and I went anyways. Ended up calling her midday to come and get me. Couldn't walk. Fuck. Yeah, mono does suck. But my one friend in college, he got mono, and then he lost like 70 pounds, but he got hot. So that's one benefit. Like, I'm not even joking. It's actually crazy. He went from like being a big offensive lineman in like football, like 6'2", 6'3", and then he lost a bunch of weight and then ended up looking like fucking Edward Cullen from, you know, the Twilight movies. And then he just became, and he literally became like a male model, which is fucking wild. We never got the full details on exactly how long he'd had her or what he had planned. The house had no other kids' clothes or toys, just tools and that chain that looked like it came off of a logging site. But whatever he had planned, thank God we got to him before he put it into action, you know? I didn't see the inside of the house myself. SAR doesn't do that once it turns criminal. But I heard the radio traffic and saw the ambulance leave with Lisa and the wounded deputy. And then later that day, when the debrief came around, there was a huge pile-in because everyone wanted to know what the heck the cops found up there. The guy they'd shot had no record to speak of. He was apparently just a quiet, lonely guy who worked odd jobs and lived out there alone. Neighbors said that he kept to himself and that he sometimes walked the woods at odd hours, and no one had any idea why he liked doing that, but I guess the whole incident with Lisa let people know that there had been a sort of quiet monster living among them. If the plane hadn't If Ariel hadn't spotted him heading home that morning, well, I don't like to think about it. Another day or two and who knows, maybe we would have found her body. Lisa's poor family moved away not long after, and then, from what I heard, the house was boarded up and torn down years later. People ask if it changed how I see people, and if I'm being honest, it made it harder to... People asked if it changed how I see people, and if I'm being honest, it made it harder to trust strangers, and I keep people at arm's length until I really know them, because sometimes you never really know someone. Because sometimes you never really know someone until it's far too late. That cheese has vitamin K2 and prevents lung cancer. Why specifically lung cancer? Like what increases vitamin D3 absorption or what? I don't know. It's just confusing. The double ear infection, sinus infection didn't hurt. It was stuffy and dizzy and more balanced. Oh, that makes sense. Oh fuck, life is rough, man. Okay, that was 4 stories that we have banged out, and I actually, since I was babysitting my buddy's daughters, the one wanted to do a funny outro, kind of like you had probably heard her before, so that will probably end up being the outro for this video, already recorded, so that's cool. Also, for over on Patreon, the $5 tier and up has, we did a new movie review for At the Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill. It was a little bit of a, you know, an appreciation of Sam Neill and his career, seeing as he has sadly passed away, but if you want to go check that over there. Otherwise, I'll get this up and edited over on Patreon. As usual, $1 or more is early access over there. And then, yeah, I'll get it on YouTube, same time, same place, 9 p.m. EST. And guys, be sure to follow me on Let's Read's Instagram at letsread.official to be kept up to date on my story when I go live over here, in case YouTube doesn't notify you. You should watch Dark City. I have seen Dark City. It's great. It's like, I feel like it was like before The Matrix almost, I think. But that one's awesome. But yeah, guys, been a fun stream tonight. Love and appreciate you. Like I said, we'll have this out here soon for you. And yeah, any other movie suggestions, be sure to let me know for horror stuff we can review. We're going to be going through every movie ever in the history of forever. Alright guys, have a great night, stay safe, hit the gym, watch your diet, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.